players meant to their franchises. They got that last season. Roethlisberger, this has got to be that.
TJ and Max, mornings on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, and we are back at it here this afternoon. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. Hope everyone's had a great day. It's been an interesting day in the sports world, and we'll open up with that. You remember that pandemic all the way back in the year 2020, and then the COVID-19 virus, it went away,
right.
And we thought it was never coming back. And I didn't know it was still around.
Don't let it dominate you.
I had no clue it was still around. It's still around, and whether you think it's around or not, who cares? The bottom line is it is, because the NFL world has been, and the NBA, by the way. I mean, all sports right now. The only sport that's safe is the only sport right now that's currently on a lockout. That's baseball. Baseball is the only sport right now that can't be impacted by COVID, right? But the COVID has dominated the sports world, and that's what we open up with today. The Cleveland Browns have been very, very fortunate over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I've watched them play a football game and thought that they played a very, very good football game. Actually, I can't tell you. It was the Bengals win, and that was what seems to be ages ago. The last time that the Browns had a win that I felt like, was a good quality win, that you felt good after, that you didn't feel like you were embarrassed to even talk about the game itself, it was the Cincinnati Bengals. That was the last time the Browns had a game like that. The Browns are currently 7-6. The Browns are second in the AFC North. The Browns are coming off of a game that they just defeated Baltimore to come within a game of the division. There are 4 games remaining. 4. You have the Raiders coming up. You have Green Bay. You have the Steelers. And the Cincinnati Bengals to close out the season in Week 17. And you look at the last 2 weeks. This past weekend, the Browns, of course, beat the Ravens. Somehow, some way, they were able to hold off the Ravens' comeback attempts, some questionable decisions from Coach Harbaugh. Really kind of lost the game for Baltimore because Cleveland did everything that they could to find a way to lose that game, and somehow they still came away with it. But with that, they were the only team in the AFC North to win this past weekend. Pittsburgh got beat. Baltimore, of course, got beat. The Browns beat them. And then Cincinnati lost in overtime to the San Francisco 49ers. So Cleveland, everything that can go right went right. With everything that's going on in the AFC, it's just one big jumbled mess. Everything going on right there. You look at the AFC. You have a team in the Chiefs. It's one of the hottest teams in football right now. They've won 6 straight. The Chargers have won back-to-back. They're 8-5. The Broncos are sitting at 7-6. They're coming off of a win. The Raiders have lost back-to-back, so that helped the Browns this past weekend. And the Bills have lost back-to-back. So with the Bills losing, the Raiders losing, every team in the AFC North losing this past weekend, and everything that happened the previous weekend with the Bengals losing and everything like that, the Browns moved up. They have continued to move up the playoff picture. 2 weeks ago, they didn't even play. and they moved up a game in the division. They moved up a game in the playoff picture. This past weekend, every team that needed to lose lost for the Browns to move up, while, of course, taking advantage of their win over Baltimore. The Browns have caught break after break after break, playing bad football after bad football. I mean, they have not played good football in forever. And today, unfortunately, that luck may have potentially run out. And you're going to hear things like next man up and everything along those lines. But the problem is the next man up line can be used for good football teams. I'm not sure how good Cleveland is. And Cleveland has not really done well with the whole next man up mentality this past season. They somehow, some way are 6-7-6. I mean, I'm saying that they haven't been good with the next man up mentality, but to be honest, they've been battling injuries since week 2. They have not been the same since week 1. They lost to Kansas City all the way back in week 1, but honestly, that's the last time that Cleveland looked dominant. Cleveland was still very good. I mean, Baker threw for over 300 yards. The offense was crisp. The defense was a little rusty early on, but remember, the defense is the one that they added so many new pieces to over the offseason, so it was kind of understandable why they looked a little rusty. Look at how the defense is now. They're the ones carrying the Cleveland Browns as we currently sit here in mid-December. But you go all the way back, the last time the Browns offense was completely healthy, it was that week 1 matchup against Kansas City when they put up 400-plus total yards of offense. The Browns offense is fine when they're healthy. They're not healthy. They're not going to be healthy the rest of the way. But this is the most healthy that they have been as far as having at least available bodies from your starters out on the field. That luck, though, coming to an end earlier this afternoon. ESPN's Jake Trotter, who covers the Cleveland Browns, Kev, tweeted this out that off of their projected depth chart entering the season, the Browns are currently without their top 4 tight ends. David Njoku and Austin Hooper, of course, lead that list. 2 of the top 4 right there. Hooper, Njoku, Bryant, and Carlson all out. Their top 2 wide receivers that they came into the season with, Jarvis Landry on the COVID list. Now he's out. And, of course, OBJ no longer on the roster. Keep in mind, this is the depth chart coming into the season that pegged them to be a Super Bowl favorite, or at least a contender, right? Their number 2 running back, Kareem Hunt, is now not active. And 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, Willis, Teller, and Conklin, all out for this weekend against the Raiders. So the Browns and Baker Mayfield, no Kareem Hunt, no Hooper, no Njoku, no Landry, no Willis, no Teller, no Conklin. And I know you're going to hear a lot of, next man up. And I agree with you, next man up. But eventually, numbers catch up with you. You're gonna have games where you're without 1 or 2 of your offensive linemen. You're gonna have games where you might be without your starting running back. You're gonna have games where you're gonna have one of your top wide receivers out. But the Browns only have one good wide receiver right now, and that guy's out for this Sunday. Nick Chubb has struggled the last 2 weeks. Now, to be fair, he struggled against the same team the last 2 weeks, or 2 of the last 3 with the bye week in between. The Ravens did a good job of really just kind of clamping up on him. He made some bigger bursts, bigger plays this past weekend against Baltimore, but we haven't seen that dominant Nick Chubb in going on almost a month now. So the Browns have issues. Even when they've been healthy over the last couple of weeks, they've been ugly offensively. And now I think it's just going to get worse. Kev, this is it. Kev, the fact that they're 7-6 with everything they've had going on this year is a damn miracle itself. The fact that they're within a game of the AFC North with 4 games to go is a miracle in itself. The fact that they, are second to the division and a win this weekend would, put them right there in first place. Baltimore has a tough game. Cincinnati has a manageable game that they should win, but being on the road and Denver being so streaky, you never know. But there's so many big games this weekend. Cleveland desperately needed this win as desperately as they needed this past win against the Ravens. Not saying that they've lost. I haven't checked the line to see if it's updated, but I'm assuming Cleveland is no longer the favorite to win this ball game. I'm not guaranteeing that they're going to lose, but I'm also not going to feed you the next man up. They're going to be just fine. They haven't been fine when healthy right now, or at least not. They're still not healthy, but they haven't been fine even when they have their major players there. So the Browns are in trouble. And if the Bengals don't find a way to win this division, they are a mess that I will deal with later, because everything is lining up for a team that has lost 4 of their last 6 and has lost back-to-back games for the Bengals to be the team to come out smiling when this is all said and done. I don't know what to expect this weekend, but I do know this. Cleveland has endured a lot this year. No one feels bad for them. They're that polarizing team that if you're not a Browns fan, everyone loves to hate. No one feels bad for them. Not asking anybody to. But just because you don't like them doesn't mean you just get to ignore the fact that this is just another week of a team taking a blow that has been taking blow after blow after blow all season long. And by the way, it's not just Cleveland impacted by COVID. It's all across the league right now. The Rams can't even finish celebrating their Monday Night Football win over the Cardinals in a very good game because OBJ now on the list. So, I mean, man, he's caught quite a few. I mean, finally, he's catching things left and right. He caught COVID. He caught some touchdown passes last night. I mean, good for OBJ, right? I mean, this is unbelievable, and it's unfortunate. Such a jumbled mess there for the AFC, Kev, and COVID is really going to possibly be a deciding factor.
It's killing all sports. There's outbreaks in hockey, outbreaks in the NBA. The Bulls had to cancel 2 games this week. 10 guys on the 15-man roster with the Bulls all have COVID or all in the COVID protocol for the NBA. As far as the Browns are concerned, this is crunch time. It's December. All these games matter just as much as the last game. And when things are breaking your way, the worst thing you can do is not have all your horses or don't win the games that you're supposed to win or can win and everything like that. It kind of reminds me of UC football. It's kind of like, all right, the dominoes are falling in their favor, but the Browns have to still do their part. That's how we were talking about with UC. Like, all right, this team lost, but you got to make sure you handle your business, because if you don't handle your business, you won't be where you want to be. And that's where the Browns are at right now, with everything that's been going on, especially in the AFC North. The dominoes are falling in the Browns' direction. And what makes this even more difficult is the game is on Saturday. This is not a Sunday game. This is a Saturday game at 4:30. So the likelihood of you getting that test on a Friday to come up negative, and then the additional test by Saturday, because you have to test 24 hours apart negatively to be able to play, the likelihood of that is highly unlikely. And to lose 2 starters on the offensive line, your best position group on the team, is going to be difficult.
518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. If you're just joining us, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Orion Sports Medicine, Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, and of course, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, give Brad a call today at 937-572-7425. Again, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. We welcome you back again. 518-1410. That's the number to call in. Mark Smith on Facebook says, get your practice squad on the field. That's not next man up. There's a reason they're on the he said, you got your practice squad on the field. That's not next man up. There's a reason that they're on the practice team. I do believe in the next man up mentality, but that's usually if you have a key guy or two that's out. This is a little bit of a different circumstance. I'm not here to wave an excuse flag. I'm not here to throw in the towel and say that, hey, the Browns have no chance against the Raiders. Kev, did you have a chance to look up that line? I didn't ask you to.
I didn't.
You're totally. I'm going to pull it up now. I'm really curious because this news was just announced. Now, there was news circulating all day that there was going to potentially be some damning news for the Browns as far as some, multiple key pieces going to be on that COVID list for their upcoming game this weekend. And, Baker Mayfield, they still have Baker Mayfield. They still have Nick Chubb. 3 of their offensive linemen out, 4 if you include, of course, the injuries that have kept some of these guys out. So this is just an unfortunate circumstance. But, we saw the Browns have to go through a lot of this last year. In fact, they won their playoff game at Pittsburgh with their head coach at home. And many people some games more than not wish he was still home. I mean, I don't know, but this is going to be interesting to see. I think that the one thing that the Browns have going for them is the fact that sometimes in this isolated situation, you get that group mentality of like everyone kind of rises to the occasion a bit. If they could get through this week with this situation, if they could rise to the occasion against a team like the Raiders, Kev, I think that they'll be okay. They're still a 3-point favorite. They are at home, so that helps.
They started at a 6.5.
So they're still the favorite. No, I mean, we've seen how bad this line is when these guys are out. If you go back to that Chargers game, you go back to that Cardinals game, I mean, that's bad. I mean, it's bad when those guys are out. Yes, next man up. But next entire position group up, sometimes that could be a little dicey. And I'm not just saying that because it's the Browns, Kev. That's the same thing if it was your Steelers or the Bengals fans listening. It's not like, the Bengals are going to be without Jamar Chase this weekend. Okay, next man up. Okay, who's going to step up? But if Joe Burrow finds out that his whole receiving core is going to be out because of COVID, that's not a next man up mentality. That's very difficult. And I would not be, saying that about them. Next man up mentality, yes, to a certain extent, guys are going to have to step up, and hopefully for the Browns, you get that united, inspired football this weekend. They're still a 3-point favorite. I don't know what to make of that, but it's going to be interesting how they kind of come out against the Raiders this Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, it's a weird scheduling quirk because didn't the Raiders and Browns play in Cleveland last year around this time?
Yeah, it was not around this time. It was within this window. It was in November. That was one of the last. Remember that Baker went through that stretch where he played Houston really poorly because remember it was just monsoon type wind and the snow and the rain. It was the same thing against Vegas last year in Cleveland. But to get the Raiders at home back-to-back years,
that's what I was saying.
Strange, right?
At least to my memory, I don't remember that ever happening unless it's obviously a division game.
Yeah, you're right. That is strange that they have them. Back to back because the extra game. So when but that's not who the Raiders are. The Browns extra.
Because they got the AFC West. Everybody in the AFC North plays everybody in the AFC West.
The Cardinals were the Browns, and unfortunately they lost that game. As if it's a regular 16-game season, that's one less loss you wouldn't have to worry about, right? But unfortunately for the Bengals, their extra game. Remember, folks, it was 16 games until about the midway point of last year when they announced that it would be a 17-game, 17-game regular season moving forward. So they had to add a game. Well, the Niners were the Bengals' extra game, which is a real kick in the man parts, right? You take the Niners off the schedule. That'd be a nice team to take. That'd be a nice game to take off the schedule and just have your 16 remaining. Kind of like in college, right? Your professor. I always love that, by the way, when professors at the very end, like around this time, you're stressed. It's finals week, and they say, by the way, to help everyone out, we're going to eliminate everyone's lowest test score. And I'm like, well, that means like. Basically when people tell me that at the beginning, I'm like, well, I'm going to take this test off because this will I'm just going to use this as my lowest test score. I'm not even going to show up for it. I'll get it waived and then, try for the next one. Unfortunately, you can't do that in this situation, but I'm sure the Bengals would hate the fact that the 17th extra game, of course, the extra team added was the Niners at that point. But no, the Raiders weren't. So I don't know why they have back-to-back home games with the non-division opponent. Interesting.
No clue.
518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Chris.
Chris, how are you, sir? Welcome.
How you guys doing?
Good. You?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Hey, I know next man up, can't be the mentality when there's so many guys out. But if you really, really look at that list, it's them two linemen that hurt the most. But in the Browns' defense, you got Hance and you got the kid out of Cincinnati who's both played some time this year. I think that's second guard spot on the outside of Petonio where Teller's usually at. Is the big miss there. I think that, Tack, I think, you still got Clowney and you still got Garrett. But what I noticed the most was the weather for Saturday is supposed to be a mix of snow and rain. And the Raiders have the 30th ranked run defense. So I think you got to run the ball and you got to play some defense, right?
Yeah, you got Dearness Johnson still. You have Nick Chubb. Look, I don't think it's the end of the world. It's just the timing. You start to feel like things are rolling in the right direction for Cleveland. They're catching breaks left and right. The last 2 weeks moving up, a game, moving up, in the standings, moving up in the playoff picture. They beat Baltimore this past weekend to come within a game of the division. And, Cincinnati, all these AFC teams have some really tough games coming up. It just looked like they were in position. They still have that shot. But, man, you get to win this weekend with all these guys out, and then you take that momentum, back-to-back wins. By the way, Cleveland has not won back-to-back all season long. So if they can find a way to pick up their second straight win this year for the first time and possibly take the lead in the division and then get healthy, get everyone back, and then head into that stretch where you have to, go against Green Bay. You have the Bengals, you have Pittsburgh in that final 3-game stretch. This is a big game. I think that if they lose this game, I'm not saying that they're eliminated from the playoffs, but they win this game, I'm guaranteeing they make the playoffs because I think this will be a uniting game this weekend if they can come out on top.
The Kenner guarantee.
I agree 100%, Justin. I think that this right here is one of the biggest games of the season because with everything going on inside that locker room that no one knows about, this right here can bring them all together. You're going to be missing, 8 to 10 starters. And bring it together here. I think they need to get Njoku back. To have Njoku back and Bryant at tight ends to help those two tackles, I think could be the biggest thing. But like I said, run the ball, play defense, and I think we still can get a win. And hey, Vegas knows we're 3-point favorites, and Vegas don't miss much.
Well, let's just hope that the Vegas Raiders miss a lot, and we'll be in good shape. But Mark, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. 518-1410, 518-1410. Browns fans, how do you feel heading into this weekend? Mark, a Browns fan, feels pretty confident. And a lot of good stuff coming in on Facebook as well. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook and jump in there. Eric Myers, Kev, on Facebook says the Browns might surprise you this weekend. Their defense is carrying them anyways, and he's right. I mean, the defense has been carrying Cleveland. I mean, that's how they beat Baltimore over the weekend. Now, kind of give Cleveland's offense a little credit. I mean, the way that they were aggressive and jumped on Baltimore early. I mean, that little stretch for Baker, that was his best stretch of football since that week 1 outing against Kansas City. I mean, he was ripping that ball. Everything looked good. I mean, they were moving the ball up and down the field. They were taking advantage of opportunities. But let's be clear, it's that defense right now that has really carried this Browns team down this stretch. And, you look at what they've done. So they held Baltimore. I mean, I know Baltimore came all the way back. People were complaining about the defense. I also blame Stefanski for taking his foot off the gas. That does show Stefanski not really trusting that offense because they had that big lead at the half. And it was almost like, okay, in the second half, let's just hope that we can run some timeout. There was a stretch where Cleveland had 3 possessions within a 3-minute period. It was 3 minutes and 47 seconds. They had 3 possessions within a 3-minute and 47-second stretch. That's unbelievable. I was like, so when the defense gets worn out and they're going to start letting Baltimore move the ball on them, it's going to be that offense's fault in the play calling because it was just 3 and out. But Baltimore was held to 22 points, okay? They held Baltimore to 16 points and still lost the week before. They held Detroit, Kev, to 10 points. All right. Now they gave up 45 to the Patriots in that brutal game. But before that, Cincinnati only scored 16. In a loss against Pittsburgh, the defense only gave up 15. Okay. They beat the Broncos. That defense held them to 14 points. It's just insane. You look at this stretch of football right now. We're so focused on how bad the defense looks or the offense looks that the defense is really carrying this football team right now. And Myles Garrett is going to have one of his best games this coming up weekend. They got to keep that run going. That defense continues playing the way that they have been. I think that Cleveland will be in okay shape, especially with that run defense being what it is for the Raiders.
How y'all feeling about Joe Woods right now?
I still don't. No, I don't. I think they're winning because of the talent on that defense, but I still don't like his schemes defensively. I still think that they're too talented in the secondary to still be getting diced up like that. I mean, let's be clear. That backup quarterback came in for Baltimore and diced them. I mean, you know what I mean? Like he diced them apart. And I'm not now, like I said, they looked a little worn down. The offense didn't do them any favors. They kept them on the field a long, long time. But it's going to be interesting how all that pans out. Mark Smith goes on to say that the Raiders are pretty bad right now, but they were just playing Kansas City, and there's something about Kansas City that they don't do. I mean, they've been smoked twice. Yeah, Kansas City didn't blow anyone out all year, and they've blown out the Raiders twice. Lamar Shelley, Kev says, do you feel confident enough to start Baker, knowing his injury status and backup linemen? I mean,
at this point, man, he's been playing now. You just roll it out there now. Like you can't just the last 4 weeks of the season. Like, all right, man, now you want to give you a little rest. It's too late now, man. This is the bed you guys have made, and it's time to lay in it. You got to roll them out there or whatever. Like it's too late for that now to try to. All right, let's go to the bullpen. It's too late.
So, and here's the other question I have too: is Case Keenum horrible? Like I thought Cleveland had the best backup situation in the NFL. They brought him in on 3rd and 13 when Baker had to go out because they, to go get checked for concussion on the sideline. 3rd and 13, they handed it off. And I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah. You don't just come in off the bench and like, all right, man.
That's your job as a backup, though. You always got to be ready.
Yeah, be ready, but like.
Baltimore had no problem bringing in their backup and start throwing right off the bat.
They weren't throwing right off the bat. Like when Lamar first got hurt, they ran zone read, and roll out. Like by the time he got warmed up and like, all right, I'm into the game, I'm into the flow of the game. Then they started throwing. But like what'd you say was 3rd and what?
It's 3rd and 13.
Nah, man, you go ahead.
Yeah, man, you get 7 yards, 5 yards.
Run
and get more yards.
Run a draw, run a screen. Let's regroup. All right, is Baker coming back or not? Oh, he not? All right, look, this is what we're going to be doing. Like, yeah,
that's playing scared. That is. And Cleveland played scared that entire second half, and it showed. And that's why Baltimore almost came back and won. Bengals fans upset with Zach Taylor, coaching scared in overtime. Cleveland's coach, can't talk today. Stefanski coached terrified when he had that lead against Baltimore. You could tell there was no confidence in that team, even with that big lead. Like, you think that would like juice you to like, let's just keep piling it on. Even Baker said in the postgame that he wishes that they wouldn't have, taken the foot off the gas, that they have to continue to pile it on and be more aggressive.
I wonder how that relationship is between him and coach, because Baker has no problem expressing how he feels in those press conferences. Like, he doesn't go the company line or nothing. And more power to him. I ain't got no problem with it. But like, he has no problem giving his feelings about how he feels about the play calling, how he feels about the fans, how he feels about anything. So I wonder how their relationship is like on a coach to player level. Because Stefanski is the play caller. He is the head coach. Like, I wonder how that relationship is.
Yeah, again, when you have two head coaches like Zach Taylor and Kevin Stefanski, both don't trust their quarterback. One has a really talented quarterback and still doesn't trust him. Charles Mitchell says Zach wasn't scared. That was the smart thing to do. The defense didn't finish the job. Oh, it's funny how when I said that yesterday, I was called every name in the book by all the Bengals fans. But now, it was the smart thing to do by Zach Taylor. Two coaches who don't trust their quarterback. Who said that? Charles.
Charles, did you feel that way yesterday? Or are you chiming in strictly today?
Trolling. He's trolling. He's Captain Troll. David Shaw's jealous of a lot of things in life. He's jealous of Charles. He wished he could be as cool of a troll as Charles. Because, Shaw tried to be a troll. And he goes, it's the same guarantee that Ohio State would beat Michigan. Same guy guaranteed Ohio State would beat Michigan. Just saying. It's the only thing Shaw has is that Michigan beat Ohio State. It's the only thing he has to bring to the table to the chat section right now. That's it.
Is he talking about that right now?
Yeah.
We talking
when
NFL.
I go the Browns. And by the way, I didn't even think it was that hot of a take. I just said, look, with all the guys out that are on the COVID list and with the injuries and everything, if they somehow at this point of the season, Kev, a game out of first place in this division, if they somehow find a way to beat the Raiders with all of these guys out, I think that's going to be one hell of a unifying thing for this team. That is, they're going to, when they get those guys back heading into Green Bay, take that momentum with them. I'm not saying you're guaranteeing that they're going to beat Green Bay, but they're at least going to feel pretty confident in themselves. They haven't won back-to-back games all year. Take that momentum into Green Bay. Who knows what can happen there? But definitely like their chances against Pittsburgh. And like I said, Baker Mayfield owns Cincinnati. So their hardest game left is Green Bay. Cincinnati, every time that they come up on the schedule, I start thinking, man, maybe I shouldn't be running my mouth so much. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't have done the purple hair bet. Maybe I should. No.
Bringing it back?
I'm not doing the purple hair bet again. I'm just saying, like, there's no reason.
Cheesehead bet?
If I don't make bets for all the other bad teams on the Browns schedule, why would I make a bet again for the Cincinnati Bengals? Might as well make a bet for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's at least one bad team we didn't make a bet on. So there's that. Aye. All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, and, of course, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Looking to buy or sell a home, give Brad a call today, 937-572-7425. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. We'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, we'll get back to taking some of your phone calls as well as your reaction on the social media side of things. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook. Like, subscribe, follow along. Plus, you can also subscribe to the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. All shows are archived there in their entirety, as well as select segments, all interviews. Speaking of interviews, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz joins us an hour from now, coming up in hour number 2. Ryan Day to the Chicago Bears. I don't know what stock to put in that. Do you? I'll talk about that next. 518-1410. Buckeye fans, if this was brought up a while back about Ryan Day, being rumored for the Bears job, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That will never happen. Well, let's go back a month ago. If you would have told Oklahoma fans Lincoln Riley is going to take the USC job, you would have laughed. Oklahoma fans would have said, there's no way. He has a good thing going here. Why would he leave? If you would have told a Notre Dame fan that, I think Brian Kelly, I think he's going to take an LSU job, you would be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So Buckeye fans, I see a lot of your reaction on social media throughout the day and throughout the last couple of days. And Ryan Day, why would he leave Ohio State to take the Bears job? Well, why would Lincoln Riley leave to take USC? Why would Brian Kelly leave to take the LSU job? Well, why would Ryan Day leave to take the Bears job? I'd say it has all to do. I think it has everything to do with one thing and one thing only. Dollar bills, y'all. That's simple. 518-1410. Buckeye fans, you worried at all about Ryan Day leaving Ohio State? 518-1410. We'll get to that coming up next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 55. Tonight will be mostly cloudy, a low near 42. And tomorrow will be cloudy and windy with a chance of showers, a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
Napa know-how. At Napa, get great deals on a variety of Craftsman tools all month long for those DIYers in your family, like the 20-volt drill driver combo with a battery and charger for just $119. With a deal like that, we're putting unfinished projects on notice. Looking at you, loose doorknob. That's the drill driver combo, just $119. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and NapaOnline.com. While supplies last. Offer ends 12/31/21.
Expand your tool set with professional power tools and accessories from Menards. We have over 100 Metabo tools and accessories in stock. Metabo HPT represents the gold standard in power tools and accessories. When the job site demands the best, turn to Metabo HPT power tools and accessories. Buy a Metabo HPT starter kit at $179.99 and get a power tool free. Sale price is good through December 24th. Plus, give the perfect gift with a Menards gift card.
More seasons greetings to you all from Menards.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
This is CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Do you want to be a hero for the holidays? How about getting your loved one a new iPhone? That's right. Pure Talk has iPhone 12 starting at just $479 through the end of the year. And sure, they have 13s too. Switch to Pure Talk. Great nationwide 5G coverage. Yes, the same coverage as the big guys, but the average family saves over $800 a year. Now that's just smart. There's no need to overpay for Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. Plus, with Pure Talk's 30-day risk-free guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. Unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data is just $30 a month. And like I said, the iPhone 12, just $479. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Jill50, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Plus, save on a new phone. That's pound 250, say Jill50. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Some restrictions apply. See site for details.
The holidays are in full swing at Lowe's Winterfest. Wander through the festivities and save on gifts like grills and drills.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Tuesday. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. So it's ridiculous, Kev. Last night I went to Indianapolis after the show. Was hoping to catch Steph Curry, set the NBA's all-time three-point record, and he needed 6. Okay, he needed 6. I mean, he was turning the ball. I mean, he had, I think, finished with 8 turnovers. I mean, he looked like Joe Burrow out there, just turnover, just turnovers all over the place. I mean, he could open up a bakery with all the turnovers. I mean, it was unbelievable. Turn it over like Joe Burrow, could open up a bakery. I think I got all my my turnover analogies in. I think we're good. Okay, so go last night. Can't wait. And the Pacers have the second worst attendance in the NBA. So my buddies and I were all jacked. We're like, this would be cool. We can get cheap tickets. We'll just buy the cheapest tickets we can get and then just move down. Because when you Google about how lenient are the Pacers with moving up or whatever, like they encourage you to get down to the lower bowl. They want everyone down there. So like if there's room for everyone, fine. So I'm pretty excited about that. Thinking we can get there. Be all these open seats and all that. But of course, it's a reminder. We live here in a city that doesn't have an NBA team, or the closest NBA team we have is 2 hours from here in Indianapolis, of course, with the Pacers. And all I ever hear is, oh, the NBA sucks. I don't care about the NBA. I don't care about the NBA, which is why we don't really talk too often about the NBA on this show. But it was interesting. Like, you forget that, yes, the NBA does matter. Like, absolutely. The NBA matters. Like, you got to understand, like, even they have the second lowest attendance in the NBA, and they still on a nightly basis get 19 to 20,000 fans a night. So that's still, that's not terrible. If that's what's considered the second lowest in the NBA, they're doing just fine. Because the Reds used to just say, hey, we're happy with our 22,000 average fan attendance, which is one of the lowest in baseball. But they're not even getting that right now. The Reds, average attendance was horrible this past year. It came in at about like 16 or 17. I mean, that's not good. But anyways, get there last night. It was packed. It was packed. I'm like, oh, yeah, see, people People do care. Steph Curry is different. So it was, to be honest, though, we weren't at a Pacers home game. We were at a Warriors home game. It was a Golden State Warriors home game. I mean, Steph Curry, every time he touched the ball, Kev, that place went nuts. So I was jacked. I'm like, this would be cool to at least say, hey, I was there the night that Steph Curry set the 3-point. But no, then everyone had all these conspiracy theories sitting behind us about how, even a buddy of mine was like, no, that was rigged. It was perfect. For one, the game was not even on national TV. So you don't want the record like that will probably never be broken again, because Steph Curry's far from done. I mean, he's going to continue. This thing's, which I don't agree with, by the way, because it's just the way the game's played right now. It is the 3-point shot. Like, I don't think it's going to be a record that's unapproachable, but I'll get to that later. But, watching that, it was unbelievable watching him go after that. And he needed 2 to tie, 3 to break. And then they took him out of the game late. It was a close game. And I'm like, what the heck? I was excited that it was a close game because I was going to force him to stay out there. And they took him out. And I was like, oh, these mofos. I didn't get it at first. And then my buddy explained it to me. He goes, no, you got to understand. Their next home game, or their next game, is in New York. It's in Madison Square Garden. It's on ESPN. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's exactly why. No. I don't think so. I have a hard time believing that in a tie ball game, and the Warriors ended up winning anyways, by the way. So
yeah, he came back in, hit a 3, hit a runner to take the lead.
People booed him. Like when he would drive into the lane, people would boo the hell out of him. It's funnier than hell. And honestly, I think that they want that record to be broken. Like, I think it's the same thing in baseball. Like when you have a home run streak going, or you're embarking on a home run record or on a hit record, or even pitchers with strikeouts or innings or whatever. It's like you want that to hurry up and end, because then you could just go back to playing normal basketball. Right. But like Steph Curry, I think the reason you're seeing him turn the ball over so much is he's playing tighter than usual because everyone wants him to shoot.
Right.
The coach is like, hey, take the threes. That's what you do. But don't force them. But
right.
So everyone's playing different. But it was interesting last night. Just the feel of the building was just weird. I wanted to go to a Pacer game with no one there so I could scoot up and get good seats. And then some jackwagon on Facebook started making fun of the seats that we had and all that. And I'm like, why do you care? I'm sorry that my seats weren't to your satisfaction. Why does where I sit at a game matter to you? Like, people just complain about the dumbest things. Like, he was annoyed that I was sitting up top. Why does that matter? I was pissed too. I wanted to scoot down.
Be mad at all the fans that showed up.
And by the way, they weren't prepared, I guess. Like, they only had certain vending windows open. So people were just complaining the entire time. And I'm like, whatever. I got my nachos and my beer, or not my beer, but my drink. And then I got a collectible cup. Didn't even bring it with me. Now I'm pissed.
Something about this record. Obviously, what Steph is doing is amazing. I definitely don't want to take anything from him, but we got to take into account the record that he's breaking. He's breaking Ray Allen's record. And what people got to realize, Ray Allen came in the NBA in 1996. The way the game was played in 1996 is totally different. And when Ray Allen came in the league, he was a scorer. He wasn't a 3-point shooter or a 3-point specialist. He could hit threes. He could drive. There's actual footage of him dunking on people. I know, amazing. You would think he's just a catch and shoot guy from his days with the Celtics and the Heat and everything like that. He was a scorer with the Bucks. He was a scorer with the Sonics. And then he morphed into this 3-point shooter in the second phase of his career. So the record that Steph Curry is breaking is amazing because Ray Allen wasn't there strictly to shoot threes. He was there to score the ball any way he could, drive into the lane, pull-ups, and threes. And then he eventually morphed into a 3-point shooter. So I want to give Ray Allen a ton of credit because he broke a record in a way that he gained a record in an unconventional way, because the second half of his career, he became a spot-up shooter as opposed to Steph Curry. He came into the league blazing threes. This is what I do. As opposed to Ray Allen, I can do that, I can do this, and then I turned into this. So a lot of credit to Ray Allen, and obviously a lot of credit to Steph Curry, who's probably going to break that record tonight at MSG.
How convenient. Could have broken it in Reggie's house, man. Reggie Miller was one of my all-time favorites growing up. All-time. That's what we talked about this the other day, about the reason that basketball, the stars resonate with fans more than baseball, is because every star in basketball looks different, and it's not, race, white, black, or anything like that. It's everyone is different. Like Reggie Miller the way he shot a 3-ball was unlike anyone else. The way Steph Curry shoots a 3-ball is not the same as the way Ray Allen does it. It's not the same the way Reggie Miller does it. It's not even the same way that Klay Thompson does it. Like,
right.
Everyone does. The only two players in NBA that honestly are identical, Michael Jordan and Kobe. They're the like Kobe moved like MJ, chewed gum like MJ, shot like MJ, scored like MJ. Like that, you know what I mean? But imagine if every player had that MJ build and looked like MJ and had a similar, every star had a similar. I don't think that would resonate with the NBA fans well. I love that every star, if you look at every team in the NBA, every team has a star. Nobody looks the same.
Right.
Nobody's built the same. They may have a similar skill set, but no one. Look, I mean, Luka Doncic comes in, a foreign-born player to the Dallas Mavericks, and it's just ironic that the Dallas Mavericks have probably one of the biggest foreign stars in the history of the game in Dirk Nowitzki, and then they quickly replace him with Dirk or with Luka Doncic or whatever, and it's insane. Like two foreign players on the team that's known for that, and they have completely two different styles of play. That's why the NBA is better than Major League Baseball. I know that's like everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just say that. But it's true. That's why the stars resonate, because when you go to a game and I'm watching a star NBA player, I have to go watch Steph Curry because there's no one else like Steph Curry.
Right.
There's nobody else like LeBron James. There's nobody else like Zion, unless you go to a football game and look at the linemen. There's nobody.
He still play?
Man, goodness. I mean, that could end up being the biggest bust since Odin or Anthony Bennett.
No. At least Zion played a little bit. Anthony Bennett.
Greg Oden played a little bit too. Greg Oden wasn't terrible. He just could, but like I still think we could be embarking on one of the biggest busts in the NBA because of health, just like Oden. That's my whole point. But anyway, like that's what I mean by the NBA. You don't go watch the same. The NFL, it's the same thing. The purpose of a quarterback, drop back and throw. Nobody looks like Patrick Mahomes when they throw a football. No one looks like Lamar Jackson when they throw a football. No one looks like, and don't give it, Baker Mayfield. No one looks like, Joe Burrow, Big Ben. Every star quarterback in the NFL has their own different, unique look. Nobody's the same. Like you look at Tom Brady and you're like, man, every quarterback has to look like Tom Brady, right? That's the blueprint right there. No. Name one other quarterback in the NBA that looks like Tom Brady, Kev. Nobody does. Name one quarterback that looks like Patrick Mahomes in the NFL right now. Nobody. Everyone is they're themselves. They come in, they look different than but you go to a baseball game. Every team plays the same. Every hitter swings the same. Everybody looks the same. And again, this isn't a race conversation. I'm simply stating, like, you know what I mean? Like, everything is taught the same way.
Right.
Everything, the swing has to be done this way because the analytics show that your launch angle has to be this. and to accomplish that launch angle, you got to do this. I hate that. I know that's not like a big talking point, but like, do you feel, Kev, like when I go watch the Reds, the Reds look like every other team in baseball, minus the win-loss category. But like, even Mike Trout, he doesn't look that much different than anybody else in the league. Like
he does it better than.
Yeah. That's why that's why Stephen A's comment about, a foreign-born player can't be the face of Major League Baseball because he doesn't speak very good English. That attracted so much pushback. And at first, I agreed with Stephen A. I understood where he was coming from with saying it's hard to be the face of a league when there's a language barrier that you're not going to be able to connect with the fans.
Right.
I got what he said. He said it in a way, though, that came across as, no, you're Asian. You can't be the face of the league. Like, that's the way it came across, right? Like, and so that's what made that conversation uncomfortable. But I get what he said. But that's what makes Ohtani great, is because he doesn't look like all the other hitters in baseball. He pitches and he hits and he looks different than anybody else. And it's not because he's Asian. I just mean like everything he does looks different. New. And in baseball, I mean, like, I just don't get it. When you go to these games, like they all swing the same. Every team plays the same. I know the NBA, it's all about the 3-point shot, but it's versatile. I mean, you have isolation scorers. You have post players. You have some post players that come out and play around the perimeter. You have others that just live down on the block. Everyone's different. That's why the NBA works. That's why the NFL works. I'm not a big hockey guy, so I can't give that analogy, folks. For those of you who are hockey fans, maybe you could chime in and help me out here. I don't know if that's the case there. But do you see what I'm saying? Nobody does anything the same. You could have a bunch of really good 3-point shooters, but nobody shoots the same. You have a bunch of really good power hitters in baseball. Everyone has the same swing. All the teams play the same. Nobody plays small ball anymore. In the NBA, you have teams that mix it up. if we're not a good 3-point shooting team, we're not going to continue to jack 3-point shots up. We're going to find different ways to win. So we're going
I mean, look at the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Like they're going old school. They're going out there with 2 big men. Garland, you run the high pick and roll, you shoot it. If not, dump it down to the big man. Mobley, if they collapse on you, you throw it to Jared Allen, you dunk it. Like that is throwback. And that's why they're such a good defensive team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. But you touched on something about Lamar Jackson, and our older listeners will know this. He throws the ball like Bernie Kosar with the sideway. I remember as a kid, like that always being like a talking point for Bernie Kosar and them saying, can you win a Super Bowl with a guy who throws a football like he's throwing a baseball and sideways and everything like that? Ultimately, it ended up not happening for Bernie Kosar with the Cleveland Browns. He did win the Super Bowl as a backup quarterback with the Dallas Cowboys, but Bernie Kosar was a great quarterback. And now we talk about like, oh man, look at all the arm angles. Look at the arm talent on Lamar Jackson. He could throw it overhand. He could throw it sideways. And the same thing for Patrick Mahomes.
Chris Collinsworth wets his pants every week. Look at that throw. No one can throw the ball like Lamar Jackson.
And it's just like, even back in the 80s, like they wanted to pigeonhole the way you even threw the football. Like if you didn't throw a football like Dan Marino, they didn't want you. If you weren't 6'3", a strapping, big, tall guy, they didn't want you. And that's the evolution of football. Like, hey, man, can you get the ball from point A to point B? Can you read the defense? That's all they care about. And in baseball, it seems like they're going backwards to say like, all right, we want you to play like this and only this. And you lose a lot of people. You lose a lot of personality when you do that. Like, you not only get the personality of a person when they speak and how they walk and how they talk, but how they play the game. And if they are playing a game in a different fashion or a different style, that brings more eyeballs to the table. So if you got a guy that actually can rake, that's great. But if you got a guy that can't rake, that is trying to rake, you're going to blow his talent. That's not going to be his skill set. There's players like Ozzy Davis. He's a Hall of Fame shortstop. Now, if he was playing today, he wouldn't be a Hall of Fame shortstop because they'd be trying to have him hit the ball a million times or hit the ball out the park. That wasn't his game. Like, hit the ball. That's his job. Ichiro, get the ball in play. That's his job. But in today's baseball, no, man, we ain't trying to get in play. We're trying to hit it out the yard. Stupidity. I don't get it. I'll never understand that. I always was taught that the first rule of baseball is get the ball in play. If you get on first, and then somebody else gets on first, guess what? You're on second. If the next dude gets on first, if you're on second, you're probably going to get home. That's advanced to runners, man. Small ball will always, and should always be a place in baseball. For you people that just strictly think that the long ball is the only way to go, you're sorely mistaken, man, because it's been done. It's been proven. Back in the 90s when the Cleveland baseball team was the team that was raking and hitting a ton of home runs with Albert Bell and Jim Tomei and everything like that, guess what happened to them? Their bats got cold in the World Series, and they lost to the Marlins, a team that played small ball. They lost to the Braves, a team with supreme pitching and played small ball. The Yankees last World Series, they won playing small ball. So I can't get down with just strictly raking and everybody playing exactly the same. We talked about this before, and this is part of the reason why I fell in love with college football. Every team didn't play the same. Nowadays, pretty much everybody kind of plays the same.
State Alabama has similar.
Yeah, most of the teams, they play the same. But I'm old enough to remember where Nebraska, a powerhouse team like Nebraska, ran the triple option. Nowadays, the only team running the triple option is one of the academy schools and everything like that, and things like that. Or like Texas Tech, back when Mike Leach was there, they ran the air raid and all this type of stuff. Like, so basically now a lot of teams run the same style of offense, but you can have different styles and win games. Like Wisconsin, they're not running the air raid. They're not throwing it all over the yard. They're a power football team, and that's okay. You can win different ways. So baseball, they need to have an understanding where, hey man, every team doesn't have to be the same. We see this with the New England Patriots. They don't play like how everybody plays. They're not playing like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Los Angeles Rams, throwing it all over the yard. They said, we got a young quarterback. We're going to turn and hand it off, and we're going to play supreme defense. And when we do throw, we're going to throw to our tight ends. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And then we have the high-flying Cincinnati Bengals. Then we have a terrible team like my Pittsburgh Steelers, who are trying to be a physical run team and everything like that. I'm just not a fan of everybody playing exactly the same. And in baseball, that's exactly what you get.
518-1410, 518-1410. Exactly. By the way, the reason baseball, and I hear people say this all the time, that remember the chicks dig the long ball era, that home runs, that's what really got everyone to watch. That's the most exciting play in baseball, and I totally disagree. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. Well, let me put it this way. Solo shots are not that's not the most exciting play in baseball. But when you have small ball integrated with the long ball and it's a balance, all right, just like the NBA, there's a balance of you have a lot of three-point shooting, but you also have guys who could take it down in the post and score that way as well. You have for every Steph Curry, there's you have your Joel Embiids, you have your Giannis Antetokounmpos, who is capable of hitting a three, but they're doing all their damage at the rim. Yeah. Right. Imagine if the NBA went to where the only shot you take is the three, which it has gravitated that way. I get that, but there are teams who are like, well, that's how everyone's playing, but our players don't, if we just continue to force Draymond Green to shoot threes, if we continue to force Giannis to shoot three after three after three instead of putting the ball on the deck and attacking the basket, that's not good for any sport. And that honestly would be like if the NBA was Major League Baseball, they would literally force Giannis to shoot nothing but threes, because that's how you win. That's how you win basketball games today. Shoot threes, make threes. Well, what if you can't hit threes? Do you just sit there and continue jacking those threes? No. You figure out, okay, what are our strengths? Well, we're not a good three-point shooting team, but we do have size, so we're going to attack the post, and we're going to and score that way. Because although everyone else is scoring this particular way, if we attack inside, teams aren't equipped to defend that because everyone's building rosters to defend the three-point line. That's what I've never understood about, and that's what I love about basketball, is it's starting to adjust a little bit. Same thing in the NFL, by the way. The reason that the run game is taking back over in the NFL is because
small linebackers.
For the longest time, and I heard this the other day, and it was a great point. It's what got me to think about this particular topic. All of these offenses are built to, like the Bengals, it's all about T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, just take shots down the field. Fans see that, they fall in love with it, but you know what? That's not going to win you football games. It could be why you win football games, but it's not going to be what carries you to win football games. You have to have a balance in the middle. They have that with Joe Mixon. They just never seem to be on the same page. But my point is well, it's one thing to build offenses to throw it every down like that, to have your quarterback throw 40 to 45 times a game. So then defenses have to build and spend money on defenses to go against that. That's why the Browns loaded up on secondary with Newsome in the draft, going out and getting Johnson, going out and getting Hill on top of guys. They already had Delpit. They already had all these guys. They continue to add and add and add. Why? Because you have to have a good secondary in a division that has Justin Herbert and in a division that has, of course, Patrick Mahomes and think of every other top Josh Allen and everything, the conference, or whatever you want to call it. So that's what ends up happening. All your money is built on pass rushers and secondary, but then you're weak linebacker. Well, no wonder the running backs have taken over, because now you have these undersized linebackers going up against these bigger, faster, stronger running backs, and they're covering so much space. Nick Chubb is getting anywhere he wants. So you're going to start to see a dynamic where it's going to shift more back towards the linebackers, and then within the next couple of years, it'll go back to the big pass attack. But look, a lot of quarterbacks are throwing for less yards this year than in years past. I went and looked that up. Where I think the last I saw that as a whole, the NFL has 10,000 less. It's about 10,000 something, 10,000 less passing yards as we currently sit here this week than where we were 2 years ago. I didn't look at last year. I just wanted to see a big enough gap to see. I thought that was interesting. It's telling a story. Baseball, though, they don't care. Hey, we don't have any power hitters, but I don't care. Hitters 1 through 9, swing for the fences. That's ridiculous. That's why the sport it sucks at times. Think back to the 90s and the 2000s. That's when I fell in love with baseball growing up. Every time I tuned into a game, it was a different approach. I'd watch the Cubs. I wasn't a Cubs fan. I was a Sammy Sosa fan. I love Sammy Sosa. When I played baseball as a very, very little kid, I couldn't wait to hit I remember my first Little League game, Kev, the first time I popped the hell out of a ball like an idiot, but I don't care. I remember I did the Sammy hop. Wasn't a home run. It was, oh man, I could still hear it, the perfect ping of the bat. And it felt so good. I'm thinking about it now. So I did the only thing I knew how. I did the Sammy hop. It was so damn cool. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing what I see on TV, right? I'm in Little League. I'm a little kid. Gary Sheffield. Remember the weird little stance?
Yes, sir.
I loved Gary Sheffield. That was my guy. He was my favorite player growing up. So I flipped the bat. Now coaches would get on me saying, hey, we quit doing that. You look like an idiot. But I'm like, I want to be like Gary Sheffield, right? I had to stop doing it. But the point is like you had players you wanted to emulate. You had players you wanted to be. You know, I'd watch Mark McGwire. He looked nothing like Sammy Sosa. Again, not talking about race. I just mean the way they stand in the box, the way that they swing the bat, the way that they play the game. Completely different. Barry Bonds, you know, the biggest freaking head in the entire Major League Baseball. He's different than everyone else. And I don't care how he became different than everyone. Different. You watched a Major League Baseball game. Ken Griffey, different. Alex Rodriguez, different. Derek Jeter, different. Nobody looked the same or played the same, and they were all stars. That's why baseball was thriving. It wasn't the long ball. There are more home runs hit in today's game than during the 90s and the steroid era. And everyone said, well, that's why the game was popular in the 90s and 2000s, is because the chicks dig the long ball. That's not true. If the long ball was what drove people to watch baseball, then more people would watch now than ever before. And that's not the case. So it's about the stars. It's not what's being done on the field. It's who's doing it. And right now it's who's who. Yeah. That matters. So
more important, I think it's more important when it happens, because you talk about Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds, like those guys are hitting home runs when you needed them to hit home runs or when it was important.
Vlad Guerrero, sorry. Yes, Donald, thank you.
Yes, definitely. But now, you know, when you're hitting, like you talked about earlier, when you're hitting solo dingers, like that, okay, we got to run. Like I remember I went to a Cleveland baseball team game and Kenny Lofton.
The Guardians now.
Guardians,
give them their respect. They are the Cleveland Guardians.
I got some merch. I got some merch. The merch is here. I went to a game and Kenny Lofton hit a home run to open the game, and it was so cool. But I'm there with my brother and my grandmother, and my grandmother is the person that taught me and my brother about baseball, and she was like, I can't stand when they do that. I was like, what? It's a home run. It's like, not from your leadoff guy. That ain't his job. His job is to get on base and let the cleanup hitters hit the home run.
3 runs up.
You get more runs on the board. Now you got this hitter coming up in this position where that's not his role. And so, like, I learned about baseball that way. So I'm not even sure how kids today learn about. So what's the purpose of a cleanup hitter if your leadoff dude is swinging for the fences? What's the purpose? I have no idea. I am puzzled. What? Okay, we're all cleanup hitters. Is that our role now? I have no idea. The leadoff dude should not be swinging for the fences. Get on base, bruh. That is your job. You're gonna make me mad.
Yeah. All of this to say, I'm at the game last night, and I'm just like, Steph Curry. Everyone thinks, oh, the whole league is nothing but Steph Curry, and it's not. It's not. Like, Steph Curry is different than any other star in the NBA. LeBron, there's no one like LeBron. There's no one like Anthony Davis. There's no one like Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's no one like Luka Doncic. Everyone's different. Major League Baseball, you watch one team, you've watched them all. You watch one star player, unfortunately, you've watched 90% of Major League Baseball. I want to know when I'm going to a game that I'm going to see something unique that there's only one of, or at least a team that does something really well. What do the Reds do really well? They just try to do what other teams do really well. And I know that sounds like, okay, well, what's wrong with that? Why don't you just do what your team does well? Why do you have to take a roster and try to copy exactly what everyone else is doing? Build a roster, find out what your strengths are, and manage and play to that. Stop taking your starters out because, well, everyone else in baseball. I wish that a manager would just sack up and say, you know what? You're going 7 damn innings tonight because, hey, baseball existed for centuries that way without this wussified game that now starters and bullpen guys, they pitch just as many innings as one another. But yet starters are making a killing. If I'm the bullpen guys, and that's one reason that's led to this, by the way, this collective bargaining agreement issue, is because, well, if you want to eliminate, titles and roles, then why is this guy making so much money when he's pitching the same amount of innings as the rest of us over here in the bullpen?
Right.
And they're not wrong. I mean, I would rather.
I was just about to ask that. What does the players union have to say about this? Because that is a great point. Like, if we're all pitching about the same and he's just labeled as a starter, what's the purpose? Another person in the NBA, KD. He just scored 51 points.
But
51 points on 31 shots.
Star after star after star. There's so many stars in the NBA.
Crazy.
Like back then, and this is why, and we don't have to get into a debate, but this is why I think that the league is better today than it's ever been. It doesn't mean that it has more viewers than in decades past. But there are more stars in the NBA today than there ever have been. There's a reason that every roster has 2 to 3 stars, to where back then it was all about 1 star and build with a bunch of role players. Well, now it's different. And obviously different philosophy with free agency and everything along those lines. But it's just one of those things where stars and guys are coming into the league as stars too. That helps, even if they're not ready to play. But 518-1410. Sorry, we went long on that.
Baseball talk in December.
We will. NBA
it ain't even
talk.
no season.
NBA talk on top of that. But no, I don't want to hear that chicks dig the long ball. That's why the 90s and 2000s were so dominant baseball. It wasn't that they were hitting home runs. It was who was hitting the home runs. There's more home runs being hit in today's game. The last couple of years, there are more home runs being hit in baseball in today's game than what there ever was being hit during the steroid era in the 90s and 2000s. So if that's the case, if the home run is what gets people to tune in, why aren't more people tuning in? And why aren't more people gravitating towards the stars of baseball today? Like, that's the thing that fascinates me. You know, at the NFL, they wear a helmet. Their face is covered. You would notice 90% of the NFL players walking down the sidewalk. Baseball, their faces are never covered. You couldn't recognize half these dudes. More than half. 90% of the league, you wouldn't recognize these guys walking up and down. 518-1410. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
It's not magic that we'll deliver 1 billion packages to homes across the country this holiday. It's the United States Postal Service. And we don't need a team of reindeer to do it, because we've added more vehicles to our fleet. And while we don't employ a legion of elves, we have hired thousands of new members for our team. So if making more holiday deliveries to homes in the U.S. than anyone else seems like magic, that means we're doing our job. Share the magic at USPS.com/helpers.
Right now, people are home with their pets more often, and I think now, especially with the shedding, they're more cognizant of what's going on and that it's an actual issue, and Dynavite has helped tremendously in our house with that.
I just heard the Dynavite commercial so many times that I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot, and I ordered it and tried it, and it worked.
The Dynavite, the being at home, working with them, they all love it.
Me and Chewy are together 24/7.
Within 3 weeks, he's not scratching and itching, and he's an all-around happier dog.
DINOVITE.com.
The soothing scent of Vicks Vapor Rub. It's only one of the most iconic smells ever. That cooling, comforting scent generations of families have come to trust to help them feel better. And now you trust to soothe your family. Pick up some Vicks Vapor Rub in the little blue jar and wrap yourself with the calm only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, always there for you.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, get great deals on a variety of Craftsman tools all month long for those DIYers in your family, like the 20-volt drill driver combo with a battery and charger for just $119. With a deal like that, we're putting unfinished projects on notice. Looking at you, loose doorknob. That's the drill driver combo, just $119. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and NapaOnline.com. While supplies last. Offer ends 12/31/21.
Fever is a potential sign of COVID or the flu, and the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Exergen temporal scanners, available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
If coming up with the perfect gift idea is making you feel a little like the Grinch, Roosters can put you in the giving spirit. For every $50 of gift cards purchased, you'll receive a $10 Roosters Holiday Buck to enjoy Roosters award-winning wings and so much more. Don't be a Grinch.
How dare you!
We all know it's better to give than receive, right? What could be better than giving and receiving? Go to roosterswings.com for more info or drop by any of our locations and purchase your gift cards today. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas from Roosters, a fun casual joint.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with seasonal refreshments and holiday beers, and they're going fast, just in time for your favorite sporting events. Rob's Beer Barn also has you covered for your holiday plans. At Rob's, you'll find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need: craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel. For last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the beaver.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz will join us 20 minutes from now. Of course, we'll talk about the sprint to the finish line as the NFL has 4 weeks remaining. And, of course, we could talk about every team's opponent heading into this week 14, or we could talk about the NFL's opponent right now, which seems to be potentially taking a lead, and that's COVID. Yes, COVID is, kind of showing its ugly head all of a sudden once again. And
unwelcome back.
Not just the Browns, but teams across the NFL. I mean, this is nuts. I mean, how many guys that are out for the Browns? The Rams right now are going into that, extensive COVID protocol. And there's other teams right now who are, I guess yesterday it had the highest positive test amount since the start of the pandemic. That includes last year without the vaccine. So even with the vaccine, by the way, there's all these reports coming out that Antonio Brown may not be the only one that had that. It could be a problem across football that, it's not, if one player finds a way around the system, you don't think that they're telling other players, and then they're telling their players, and then they're telling other players. So it sounds like that's an issue across football as well, that this, and all of a sudden you're starting to see these teams with outbreaks. You got to ask you, are these teams that are have high vaccination rates, are they lying about their COVID status too, which is not fair because of all the breakthrough cases that can happen. You have a new variant that's in this country now that all of a sudden can, turn everything upside down. So there's so much going on that I feel like we're going to get away from what's made the NFL healthy this year in regards to just the talk of the on-field. It's been all about the on-field product. It's been all about the playoff race. It's been all about the jumbled mess of 7 and 6s and 7 and 7s and 6 and 7s. And the playoff race in the AFC is unbelievable. The NFC is tight. But I feel like we're about to get away from that because there's going to be off-field things that are going to dominate the headlines here in the coming weeks, which is unfortunate, because there's 4 weeks remaining.
Right.
But we'll keep an eye on how all that's going to unfold. But 518-1410, Kevin and I were discussing in the last part of the show. I went to Indianapolis last night to have a chance to watch Steph Curry break the NBA's all-time three-point record. Was really hoping he could do that. If he would have hit 6 or if he would have hit 7 last night, he would have broke Ray Allen's all-time three-point record. But he was not able to knock down 4. He needs 2 to tie, 3 to break it. And, of course, conspiracy theory, if you will. Where's that conspiracy? And there we go. The conspiracy theory music.
Oh, boy.
Or unsolved mysteries, as you will. But there has to be something to it. It's very ironic. I have a hard time believing that the NBA lucks out this way. That and I guess tickets went from basement cheap to $800 a ticket on the cheaper end for tonight's game at Madison Square Garden. So last night, the Warriors at the Pacers. Pacers have the second lowest attendance in all of the NBA. That place was damn near sold out last night. We get there. I thought we got the cheapest ticket. Was hoping to get cheap tickets, just move up to get a closer seat to watch it. Nope. Every one of their moms showed up last night. It was technically in Indiana, but it was, it was technically a Warriors home game. Every time the Pacers would score, it was just kind of quiet. You'd have a couple claps here and there. Steph Curry touched that ball, and everyone would stand up. It was electric throughout the entire arena. It was really cool. but I think it's experience history being made. But I have a hard time believing, I have a hard time not believing some of the conspiracy theorists out there who believe that he was purposely instructed not to set the record in Indiana last night, which I thought, it's the Pacers, Reggie Miller. That's a good place to break the record, right? No. We're going to come up just short, 2 short of tying, 3 short of breaking it, so that, the very next night, the game that's on national television at Madison Square Garden in New York City. I mean, come on. There's no way that the NBA just... would you look at that? He didn't break the record. Oh, when do they play next? Oh, they play in New York. Oh, they on national television. Oh, gee, would you look at that? I mean, who would have thunk it? Who would have thought? I mean, you might as well wait until he was in L.A., right? Like, I mean, no, but New York, the Mecca, right? Like, I mean, my goodness. So, nonetheless, it will be cool to see him break that record tonight. But I would have loved to say, hey, I was there live to watch him break it in, I guess, Indiana. No one wanted to see Steph Curry break the record in Indiana, but New York.
NYC. And another thing is they had plane trouble last night. They didn't leave Indiana. They stayed overnight. So they flew to New York today for the game tonight. So if you're a gambling person, I would take the Knicks in a straight up bet.
That's fine. No one cares about the outcome of the game right now. It's not Christmas yet. No one cares about the outcomes of games right now. Actually, I have noticed the Cavs. I've heard more people talk basketball here for the first time in a long time. And it's and I think that the Cavs being good is interesting because I think it's healthy for the city to have a good team that's not centered around LeBron James. I think it's unhealthy to be so dependent on that dude. And the Cavs are. And that was a great thing, by the way. I'm not saying the Cavs don't need LeBron James. And if LeBron James decided at the end of his Lakers run to come finish it up in Cleveland, I'm not going to be disappointed. As long as LeBron doesn't come in and just oust everybody to bring in the stars, then that's a problem. But I think right now, if Gilbert can find a way to continue building this roster or be a part of this roster being built, he's doing a good job with Altman and everyone letting them put that roster together. I think that any success, even if it's an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, that's as successful as winning a championship with LeBron James, who, let's be honest, that was a plug-and-play team. This is an organically built team, and I think that there's something to it. You know what I mean? It just means more when you build the roster. I think that's what's so hard about the NBA today for fans to really get into is that none of these rosters are homegrown.
Right.
The Warriors hit. I mean, that's what makes the Warriors interesting. They're homegrown. Put some pieces they bring in from the outside, but that's what makes them interesting. The NFL, look at the Bengals. This is a homegrown team. Sure, they're plugging it with some free agents and stuff, but like the core, it's all drafted guys. You got your T Boyds, your Tyler Boyds, your T Higgins, your Jamar Chases, your Joe Mixons, your Joe Burrows. Like when this team wins and they're winning, I know they're losing technically during this stretch, but they're 7-6, have a chance to win the division, make the playoffs. It means more. If I'm Ron Howard in the chat section, I mean, how? Your Bucks team didn't win a Super Bowl organically. It was NBA-like. You had to bring in Tom Brady and Gronk and Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown. And, that's not organically done. You know what I mean? Like, the Bengals, and that's what made the Browns so great. Like, the Browns were winning with their guys. That's what made it special. The Browns didn't have to rely on, trade for Aaron Rodgers, and then everyone's going to follow Aaron Rodgers to Cleveland. No, this is what the NFL is good at. It's their homegrown teams, and fans are passionate. That the NBA doesn't have that, and I think that the Cavs could be a healthy dose of that for the NBA, and I hope that continues. The playoffs started today, which is stupid to say considering it's December and there's still 5 months of the season left. But the season they're the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, and I think a lot of non-NBA fans in the area would be tuning in, unless you are dumb like me and have YouTube TV. I just saw it today, by the way. I'm not able to watch the Reds, not able to watch the Cavs, and now I may not be able to watch any ABC or ESPN programming at all.
I saw that as well. That is bogus. I mean, think about it. We got the college football Final Four coming up on New Year's Eve, and if they're not up and running, I'm going to Hulu Live just like that and canceling.
I'm going to be like Shaw. I won't be able to watch the Michigan game.
This is absolutely the worst time, and to think about it, they're talking like this Friday, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously Monday Night Football and Christmas Day, the Christmas Day games, the NBA games come on. So won't be able to watch those. So they need to get it together, and everything that comes on ABC as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's not good. That's not good. I don't like it. Get it together. I mean, you're right. Like the time that the Cleveland baseball team, the Cavs are playing good basketball, I can't even watch. You know what I'm saying? And that burns me to the core. And you're right. There is something to be said about a homegrown team. And me and my buddy were actually having a conversation about this a little bit ago about the Cavs. And we both noticed, like, hey, man, they playing pretty good basketball. They don't stink. Like, that's cool. And he told me about a friend of his at work saying, like, yo, this is more exciting than when LeBron was there. I was like, I wouldn't go that far.
I didn't think when LeBron came back the second time, it was fun. I'm coming home,
right?
Like the build up to that. But then I'm like, I feel like we're watching the Heat again, and I just didn't like that non-organically built roster. But continue your point. But yeah, I kind of, your friend, I agree with that with the second run.
Yeah,
the second run's the one that brought the title.
Exactly.
But that first run just felt organic because LeBron was your dude, but like you drafted him. And everything, you know, if you had to settle for the Eric Snows and the Jeff McGinnises and Mo Williams and guys like that, but but no, continue your point. But yes, I kind of see what he's saying.
Because what he said, when you get a player like LeBron James, it is, especially after the Heat, you get the drama and all this extra stuff that comes with it, like the Tristan Thompson and the Kardashian stuff. You get J.R. Smith and Rihanna and like all these extra.
Yeah, Tristan didn't even create drama with any of the hot ones. I think if you bring drama because the chick's hot, but when you're creating drama because of Chloe, I mean, give me a break. Continue.
So like it was unnecessary drama. As a sports fan, you don't want that. You just want to watch your team and you watch your team succeed and everything like that. It's like it would just seem like it was drama. I was like, well, hold on. Considering that they did win a championship, you're saying that you would rather, he's like even the first run was more fun. It was more fun. Yeah, we didn't win it, but it was more fun. And then it was like, yeah, and plus the Kyrie drama and then the Kevin Love drama. It was just like so much drama that he's saying the only happy moment that we had was the 3-1 comeback over the Warriors. Everything else was just stressful. This isn't stressful. This is fun. And I was like, so you mean to tell me you like the climb to the top as opposed to being on the top? Is like, think about those years. And I couldn't disagree. I was like, well, outside of that those 4 games that they won in the finals, it was pretty stressful. Like, man, this is just, they're not playing well. Or LeBron's taking a 2-week break. All right, who's getting traded? Are we going to bring in Isaiah Thomas? We're going to cut him, and then we're going to do this. It was just like so much drama. And I asked him, like, all that drama being said, would you take it away? Because you take away the drama, you take away the championship. You can't take away that championship. So ultimately, I'm going to go with winning a chip over all this excitement that we're having the first 2 months of the NBA season. You got to have a chip. You got to, man. I don't care how much drama it brings. If you win a championship, it makes it all worth it, even if it is just one.
Yeah, but it's cool seeing the Cavs doing what they're doing right now. And yeah, so Ron Howard, he chimes in. He goes, the Bucks have a bunch of drafted players. Ron, all those drafted players were not in the playoffs before Tom Brady got there. Your team is what's wrong in sports. You know, it's not organically built. Do it the right. You guys cheat. You guys didn't do it the right way. I'll take the Browns getting knocked out in the second round of the playoffs with an organically built roster over the crap that you won a Super Bowl with because you had to get Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown and Gronkowski. And give me a break, Ron. Your Super Bowl doesn't count. If they get back to this year, it still doesn't count. All right. Aaron Rodgers has to deal with all homegrown, non-first round talent, right? Like, that's all we hear about all the time. So I'm just saying. So, Ron, nope, take that weak stuff out of here. As Dikembe Mutombo would say, not today. Get it out of here. How was that for Dikembe? That was horrible. That was embarrassing on my part. I committed to it. I already started going there. I'm like, crap, I got to finish it now. I can't just stop. Oh, no, let's go. 518-1410. Let's go to Dylan. Dylan, how are you? Welcome. Sorry to make you wait. I'm rambling a lot today.
That's all right. So I have some thoughts on baseball.
Yep, absolutely.
So first of all, I think the MLB does not do a very good job of marketing themselves. This year, the annual rights fees for the big three, NFL is $5 billion, NBA is 2.7, and MLB is only 1.5.
Wow.
So ESPN is not going to give them as much coverage because they're not making as much money off of them.
Well, Dylan, real quick, can I ask you something? Sometimes, though, and I agree that they need to promote their sport better, but at the same time, just because you put guys in commercials, it doesn't automatically make them stars, right? Like, I think that the reason that the NFL has so many guys in commercials is because they're putting stars in commercials. Baseball can put baseball player after baseball player after baseball player in these commercials. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's leading to exposure to the point where they're getting that ROI. I'm gonna let you finish your point, but like, do you see what I'm saying there? Like, sometimes it's not just a matter of putting these guys in commercials. Some guys are in commercials because they're stars, and then there's baseball where you feel bad for them, and the commercials are uncomfortable because you could tell they're trying to make these guys entertaining, and they're just not.
Right. Yeah. But I think also with the sport itself, my two big issues with it. On offense, all they care about now is launch angle because they're just trying to hit home runs.
Yep.
And on defense, they're doing the shift so much that anything that isn't hit over the fence is just going to be fielded. So it's sort of like a strikeout or hit a home run type situation.
And heaven forbid they hit to the open side of the field, right? I know it sounds easier said than done, but man, what are they doing? Major League Baseball's on the lockout right now. If all them players aren't trying to focus on hitting to the open side of the field, then you know what? I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, they want to get rid of the shift, just hit into the shift. But yeah, I mean, baseball is my favorite sport, has been my whole life, and it's just kind of sad to see where it's going, and it's not doing too hot right now. So yeah, that's my big two things. I wish the MLB would fix that. But yeah, thanks for letting me on.
Hey, anytime, man. Take care, Dylan. Appreciate it. 518-1410. He brings up a good point. Look, we talk about, I didn't know that, by the way, that baseball spends, like he say, 1 point something billion. Yeah. The NFL spends 5, NBA about 2.5. Like, and the NFL doesn't even have to spend that type of money. They do it anyway. I mean, like, the NFL thrives, but it's like McDonald's. They don't have to advertise, but they spend just as much as any big sponsor, any big spender out there in the world of advertising. So the NFL knows what's up. Obviously, the NBA as well. I mean, you see guys like, the Boston Celtics, there's guys, drawing a blank, who are their two main players? Tatum. Like, they're in all these commercials left and right. And I don't think that they're the faces. They're just really good players, but you recognize who they are. Non-NBA fans could look at those guys who I don't think are the biggest stars in the NBA, but they're stars. They're all over the place. Baseball, it's you keep putting Trout out there. I'm like, no one cares about Trout. Trout has statistically numbers that are on pace to be the best of all time, and no one cares. That's the other thing too. Baker Mayfield, people can't stand him, but he's like the face of progressive and everything like that. By the way, I read an article the other day that talked about, with Baker's future uncertain in Cleveland, does that impact his future with that? Progressives, like, absolutely. I mean, they're making a killing off of that. They are being talked about, whether it's, I hate that an average quarterback is in these commercials, or, oh my gosh, those commercials are so funny. They're making a killing off of this. Like, sometimes you don't even have to be elite to be a star in a sport. The fact that this is how good the NFL is that Baker Mayfield's a star in this league, and he's not even in the top 10 at what he does. And then you have Mike Trout, who's arguably statistically the best of all time, or on pace to be the best of all time, and no one gives two craps about who the hell he is. Like, that's the thing. You don't have to be the best at what you do to be a star. And baseball's just boring, man. They just have too many boring guys. There you go. As Dylan Shaver says, Hulu has live sports. Hulu does have live sports. YouTube TV may not have live sports, and I may be getting rid of that.
May lose
by the way,
customers.
Ron Howard, he called me an idiot.
Name calling.
This guy, I mean, he says the Bucks have a bunch of drafted players in Godwin, Evans, Howard, David, White, Wirfs, Brate. What the hell are you talking about? And then, of course, the 60-year-old old man that is Ron calls me an idiot. What an adult thing to do, Ron.
You got a 60-year-old quarterback, too.
Does your home know that you're out wandering around? Do I need to call them to get you back in there? I mean, you seem a little lost today, Ron. Like, don't be upset. That's not even, I mean, that's a fact. Your team had to buy a Super Bowl because they weren't good enough to draft on their own to put one together. ESPN's 30 for 30, Jameis Winston. I mean, my goodness. And by the way, when he went to a team with a good coach and a good organization, look how well he was playing before the injury. I mean, I'm just saying. You guys couldn't make the playoffs with Jameis Winston. He goes to a real coach and a real organization, and look what happens. Now,
they haven't won a game since he got hurt, right?
No, like I think they've won a game since he got hurt, but they haven't even come close to looking the same. Look, Ron Howard, you're jealous. Nobody wants to play in Cleveland. The Browns have like a top 3 roster in the NFL. Ron, what are you talking about, Ronnie? Again.
Oh, yeah, they just beat the Jets 30-9.
Does that count?
Oh, yeah, it counts.
But yeah, Ron, what are you going to do when Tom Brady retires? You're in real trouble. you're in real trouble. You're just going to go back to being the Bucks, and not even the Ohio State Buckeyes. I mean, you're just the Bucks, the team that can't draft playoff rosters. That's bad, Ron. You're a fan of a bad organization, but lucky they have Tom Brady. See, Tom Brady was great for the Patriots because the Patriots and Tom Brady won Super Bowls. Tom Brady leaves, and the Patriots are right back to being one of the top teams in the league. When Tom Brady leaves the Bucks, you're going to be down at the bottom, and you'll be considered a word that rhymes with buck. So I'm just saying, have a good time. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0% financing on the 21 Passport, the 22 Pilot, and HRV, or 1.9% for 48 months on the 22 Odyssey. Lease a 22 HRV Sport for as little as $229 a month, or a CRV Hybrid EX for as little as $279 a month. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We are located on Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Give the gift of a Dayton tradition. Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps. Milano's gift cards are the perfect way to give good times and those favorite subs and pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
Staples Connect is a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 55. Tonight will be mostly cloudy, a low near 42. And tomorrow will be cloudy and windy with a chance of showers, a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
If coming up with a perfect gift idea is making you feel a little like the Grinch, Roosters can put you in the giving spirit. For every $50 of gift cards purchased, you'll receive a $10 Roosters Holiday Buck to enjoy Roosters award-winning wings and so much more. Don't be a Grinch.
How dare you!
We all all know it's better to give than receive, right? What could be better than giving and receiving? Go to roosterswings.com for more info or drop by any of our locations and purchase your gift cards today. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas from Roosters, a fun casual joint.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. We're also Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Ohio State and Utah in the Rose Bowl. We'll have all that coverage for you here in the coming weeks leading up to it. I know it seems like it's far off in the distance, but, it is coming up just around the corner, New Year's Day.
Yes, sir.
3:30 coverage begins on New Year's Day. It's a Saturday, 5 o'clock, the kickoff. And I've talked a lot of smack to a couple Utah fans, and, hopefully they can back up. And if not, they're in Utah. I don't really care what they think of me. I barely care what people around here think of me. I don't need you to like me. I just need you to listen. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425. He just helped my fiance and I close, or we're soon to be closing on our home, but we have everything all in order. We're ready. We're just waiting for the green light to start, sign a couple documents, dot a couple I's, cross a couple T's, and just move a couple things in. Moving's easy, man. Moving's easy. In fact, I just thought the other day I wish I could move more.
Y'all getting movers, or you moving yourself?
I'm fortunate to have a really good group of friends that have offered to help, so I'm very fortunate at that. So there you go. So yes, they are my movers. We work at the same place. We both know how much we make here, and you are an idiot that asked me if I'm getting movers. What the hell's wrong with you? You taking the Porsche out this weekend, Kev?
How about the boat?
You get movers. What the hell's wrong with you? ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz hanging out with us today. Jason, welcome in. How are you, sir?
So, my personal health that you didn't ask for, but I thought I'd share, and totally related to what you were just saying, is that, this great moment happened in my life that I'll never forget when they called and said, we're going to offer you Spain and Fitz and all of these digital shows for ESPN. I'm living in Nashville at the time, and they say, hey, the deal is contingent. You must live in Connecticut, but don't worry. You get a mover in that first year. A moving company will help you move. And so you don't have to do anything. And I look at my wife, and I'm like, we don't have to do anything. And she says, I'm not ready to move to Connecticut. So we didn't take advantage of it because she didn't want to move. So now if I move, I got to box everything up myself. So the Nashville house is still sitting the way it is because I didn't, I'm not doing that, man. I'm just too old for it. I can't handle it. It's too much work for me. I've moved too many times in my life. I have anxiety over it. So the one time somebody offered me movers, I didn't get to take advantage of the dang thing. And follow-up question for your audience, y'all ready for the movers to help Ryan Day get to Chicago when he's the Bears?
Nice.
Just throwing shade everywhere.
Jason woke up today and said, I'd choose violence. Hey, and by the way, Jason, let's be honest. Buckeye fans, they're doing what Oklahoma fans did. They're doing what Notre Dame fans did. They're doing oh, come on, he ain't leaving. He's not going anywhere. Oklahoma fans said the same thing about Lincoln Riley. Notre Dame fans said the same thing about, Brian Kelly and his family. They didn't think his family was going anywhere. I think it would be really foolish of Buckeye fans to make that same mistake that Oklahoma and Notre Dame fans made when they heard rumors initially that their coach could be plucked. I'm kind of on your side, Jason. I think that a lot of these fans need to kind of be prepared, but also they need to keep rooting for that crap storm in Jacksonville to keep going south too at the same time.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong about that. And let me just remind everybody what Jerry Jones said last month when he was asked about coaching salaries for college coaches and how it impacts NFL coaches. And Jerry Jones pretty flatly said college coaches should make more than NFL coaches because they work much harder and it's a year-round job because of recruiting. And we just take that for granted because of the amount of money these guys get and the fact that they're legends in the cities they're in. It is just a simple fact. NFL coaches work less than college coaches. So if the Bears choose to turn around and offer more money to somebody that will come in on a fully guaranteed contract and he can work less for it and he can be the Bears coach, not a bad gig. I'm just saying we have to remember that that's a little part of it. Chicago, good place. He's familiar with it. He'll get offered just boats of money, and he'll have to work less to do it. I mean, if that's a part of the drug that feeds you, then you're going to go for it. We've learned that Lincoln Riley wants to be a college coach, and that is amazing. But not every coach is wired the same way. We'll learn, I think, from Ryan Day this offseason, because it's not just the Bears gig. There's going to be 6 or 7 open gigs in the NFL, and there just aren't 6 or 7 qualified candidates that most owners can win the press conference with. Ryan Day is one of them. That's what's interesting to me. Will somebody overpay for Ryan Day? Remember, NFL coaches don't have to have their salaries released. Will somebody offer Ryan Day $15 million to coach in the NFL? Could happen. So I'm not saying no to anything when it comes to Ryan Day.
So if this scenario actually does happen, let's just play devil's advocate and say as Ryan Day does become an NFL head coach this offseason, where should the Buckeyes go? Who should they pluck? Because obviously LSU went big game fishing, USC went big game fishing and came up with 2 big fish. Who should Ohio State go after?
I think they stay internal, because they have the one thing right now that most programs never have, which is proof of concept that you can survive a coaching change. And that's a weird spot to be in for most big programs, right? Like, most of the time, we just forget the fact that Ryan Day stepped in and nobody missed a beat. Like, that's not normal. That's not what most places experience. So I think Ohio State has a little bit of a luxury of saying, like, we can bring anybody, we can elevate anybody on our staff, because this staff currently knows how to recruit, knows how to stay relevant no matter what, and can sell the whole "we're Ohio State" thing. Plus, the other part of it is, if I'm going to speak honestly about Ryan Day, I'm also going to speak honestly about Jim Harbaugh. Like, I think if I'm going to sit here and say that Day's gone, it's pretty easy for me to find a path that gets Harbaugh gone too to the NFL again. So, I think there could be coaching turmoil in the Big Ten, and if there's coaching turmoil, all the more reason to stay internal, promote from within, and say, look at our sustained success. Nothing is bigger than the brand at Ohio State, and this is what the brand can do for you.
So if coaches are leaving, that means they're going to different jobs. What spots in the NFL do you see open in this offseason?
Oh, man. Well, the Jags, obviously, I know that Shad Khan said he's going to make a patient decision. I'm stunned, and it's a sign of the ignorance with the way they do business that they didn't part ways with him when they had the opportunity for cause earlier this season, because then they wouldn't have to pay him. So now the only reason I think Shad Khan is taking a second is because he's going to talk to his legal team and still figure out if they can find cause at this point, because that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders are obviously open, and I don't have any insight, as much as I do know a lot of people around the organization. I don't have any insight, but I do know that Mark Davis is aware of the fact that they need a splash somewhere, whether it's GM, whether it's coach, or whether it's quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised for Jim Harbaugh, that's a family friend of the Davises, who's been involved in helping them figure out hiring practices in the past. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Mark Davis is used to paying $10 million a year for a coach. Didn't bother him. So I could see, obviously, Jim Harbaugh being in one of the names that's bounced around there. We know, we presume the Bears are going to come open, the Giants are going to come open, the Jets could come open. And the dumbest thing about all of this, y'all, is, like, let's remember where we were less than a year ago, when all of a sudden we were sitting there saying, oh, the Jets got it figured out because they made the best hire. Like, Robert Saleh is going to be the guy, and he's going to do so many great things for the Jets. And now we're here less than a season in, we're like, he's an incompetent coach. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like, that's like, we talk about the crapshoot of drafting. The crapshoot of hiring an NFL coach is the worst, because nobody ever knows who's good. Nobody ever knows who's bad.
On a scale of 1 through 10, how safe is Zach Taylor's job in Cincinnati? Because I know no one's really talking about Zach Taylor nationally, but Jason, you would have thought that I mean, Zach Taylor, Bengals fans want his head on the chopping block. I mean, they are furious. I'm not a Zach Taylor fan, but they are furious because in the game against the 49ers, Joe Burrow was absolutely dominating, and they get deep into Niner territory in overtime. And instead of continuing to ride the hot-handed arm of Joe Burrow, they handed it off on 1st and 2nd down. And then, of course, they did get a field goal. The defense, which hadn't given up a touchdown they only given up 3 points, and that was at like the 6-minute mark of the third quarter. The defense hadn't given up a touchdown the entire second half. The defense gives up a touchdown on the very first drive of overtime. How ironic is that? And unfortunate is that? I'm not a Zach Taylor fan, but I defended Zach Taylor's conservative approach to overtime because I had used recent history of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a very, very good quarterback. I've already admitted he's better than Baker Mayfield. I don't know how many more times I have to admit that I was wrong about that. But hear this. I could defend Zach Taylor's decision to not let Joe Burrow throw because, for one, he leads the league in interceptions. Two, there are 3 games that he has had the ball in his hands in clutch situations that he has thrown interceptions that have led to losses for the team. I have no problem with the coach, Jason, saying, you know what? We're in this territory now. Let's take the points in overtime. Our defense hasn't given up a touchdown the entire second half. Why should I fear them giving it up now? That's our strength. We got to trust him and ride with it. I think it was smart. Joe Burrow has been great, but he's also cost his team a few games this year by throwing interceptions late against the Jets, against the Packers, against the Chargers last week. I think that he was trying to avoid that disaster happening against the 49ers. They still got points out of it, but Zach Taylor is public enemy number 1 in Bengals country.
So this is where, I'm fully aware that my platform is tiny and I'm not on the NFL Lives of the world, but you're reading my mind because, my God, last night on the Monday Night Tailgate show I do digitally with Shea Pepler, whose husband, Jordan Cornette, massive Bengals fan. We brought up the Bengals, and my question to Shea was, at what point are we going to have a real conversation about Zach Taylor? And, there's a couple reasons for that in my mind is that, hey, I love Joe Burrow since he came out. You know that. We've talked about that. But also, last year we talked about the maddening play calling in general at that point where they were basically putting Burrow out and saying, murder him. And the problem for me is the identity isn't consistent for Zach Taylor. So what I'm looking for is a coach that's going to come in and say, okay, with these weapons, this is the way we are going to attack when we have the opportunity to attack. I don't feel like we've gotten that from the Bengals. I don't feel like we've gotten any sort of an instance where the Bengals are making Burrow better. Burrow is making the Bengals better. And that's a big difference when you've got what I think is one of the young generational talented quarterbacks in the NFL. Like the Bengals are sitting on somebody that should be for the next 15, 16 years, one of the best quarterbacks, I think, in the NFL. And their coach does not have any idea how to utilize him at this point. And I'm not trying to pile on to Zach Taylor, but I'm not looking at Zach Taylor saying, boy, does he make the Bengals better. So to me, the interesting thing for the Bengals and for Bengals fans is that this is now a premier job if it comes open, because the first thing coaches look at is, do we have a quarterback that we can build around? And if you're a Bengals fan, you got to look at it and say, man, this job comes open. Whatever the coaching carousel looks like, the best job would be the Bengals in a heartbeat. So I think Zach Taylor should absolutely be looking over his shoulder, and I think the Bengals should be internally asking questions about whether or not he has developed an identity. Too many weapons to come out and essentially willy-nilly those opportunities. Like you said, I don't have a problem going conservative. My problem is that it feels like when it's time to go conservative, he stays aggressive. And when it's time to stay aggressive, he stays conservative. And we're all watching and trying to figure out the identity for you need one drive. How are you going to do it? And when you got Burrow as your quarterback, you should know that identity by now.
Yeah, it's a team that started out 5-2, and they've lost 4 of their last 6, sitting at 7-6 right now. And somehow what has been a disastrous season for the Cleveland Browns, somehow ahead of them in the standings right now, second, a game out of the division lead. And of course, the news that came out today, Jason, was of course, that the Browns, who are finally starting to get healthier and getting guys back to being active and out on the field, now half of their top stars are on the COVID, reserve list right now, and they're going to be without pretty much their entire offensive line. A bad wide receiving core. Their best wide receiver, Jarvis Landry, is going to be out. Their 2 top tight ends are going to be out in Hooper and Njoku. Baker Mayfield's not been great, and Cleveland has an opportunity here to potentially take the lead in this division. And now, once again, after getting everybody back, now they have to take a couple steps back. Still a winnable game, but the Raiders, that's not going to be an easy game by any means. Your thoughts on the Browns-Raiders, your team, heading into this matchup?
Yeah, so the problem for this matchup is you're talking about the offensive line. There is one strength to this Raiders team that is undeniable this year, and that is they got 2 guys in Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby that absolutely destroy quarterbacks. And don't look at the sack numbers. For everybody that focuses on the sack numbers, they're okay for both of them. If you look at the quarterback pressures, quarterback hits, pass rush win rate, if you look at those 3 stats, Max Crosby among the league leaders and having a virtually historic year right now for how great he's getting at the quarterback, I should say. So you look at the edge rushers and their ability, they are not just good, they are great, and they are disruptive. So what happens is when they chip one, the other goes off. If they have a game plan to try and get both of them, the interior portion of the defensive line has done a decent job. You can run all over the Raiders. That is fact. That's going to happen all day. So the question is going to become, with the banged up offensive line, how do you handle a team that can murder a quarterback? The Raiders' defensive line is great at quarterback pressure. So I think the fact that if you'd have asked me 24 hours ago, the Raiders are a team that have fallen apart, their season's over, and they have nothing left to play for, I expected the Bengals to roll them. And then when you see the COVID list information start coming out today, that's when you say, man, this just became the Browns are a better team. But at this point, it's a bad matchup. And that's just like the NBA logic. I don't know how the Browns survive if their offensive line can't play and play well in this football game. The Raiders defense is better than it gets credit for being, even if the rest of the season has become a garbage fire for them.
You know, every time I jump on Twitter, I see something about the Washington football team. The latest report is coming out that Daniel Snyder and his legal team try to prevent people and witnesses and speaking to the NFL about their investigation. What is ultimately going to happen with Daniel Snyder and the Washington football team? Can the NFL continue to allow him to own a team?
Unfortunately, yeah. And unless they can find actual tangible evidence that they're willing to make public, and that's the part of it I think at this point the NFL behind the scenes, it's more likely than not, to use their phrase from Deflategate against Brady, it's more likely than not that the NFL has tangible proof of who Daniel Snyder is, and they've chosen not to do anything. So now, if they release that proof, they're also going to have to explain why that proof wasn't enough for something to already be done. And that's one thing that Roger Goodell and the NFL rarely allows, is for egg to be on their face. But I really need every fan of a team that's just dreadful. And that includes my Raiders. That includes at times the Browns, at times the Bengals. Need everybody to really think about Daniel Snyder, because what happens when our favorite teams play poorly, and I got into arguments with Raiders fans on Twitter about this over the weekend. Everybody says, oh my God, this team stinks. The NFL needs to force the owner to sell. Remember that they'll never do that. They've never done that for results on the field. For off the field things, sure. But for results on the field, the owners protect each other. And Daniel Snyder is the perfect example. They have been a trash football team for a very, very long time. And there are curious things off the field that would warrant forcing him to sell his football team. And the NFL has still been like, you know what? And Sarah Spain's credit, she's always said it. I think she's right at this point. The NFL is scared to death that if they open all of this up, every other owner is going to open themselves up to whatever Daniel Snyder knows about them.
Right.
And they don't want that. Jerry Jones doesn't want his closet opened up. So I'm just looking at a bunch of owners that are going to protect Daniel Snyder, and they're always going to protect each other. They're always going to protect no matter how the games are played on the field, no matter what happens off the field, unless something is out there tangible they can't deny, they will find a way to make sure that nobody's ever forced to sell these teams. It might stink, but it's real, and we all just have to accept it.
You hear that, Kev? All these teams are going to be open to buy, and you know how much money we make here. I have to, pay for movers to move to Washington to buy the Washington football team. I mean, you never know. But,
Pony up, man.
Yeah, Jason. Not to make light of that particular topic in general, but I saw a meme today of Urban Meyer. He's kind of squinting, kind of looking off in the distance, saying, "Man," because all the negative attention on him. Saying, anyone got any more of them racist emails out there? Because that's what took the attention away from him from last time. So, nonetheless, hey, as we send you out with this, Jason, talked earlier about Ryan Day potentially leaving Ohio State. I know Buckeye fans don't want to believe that around here, but the timing could not be any more interesting, because Urban Meyer looks like he's on his way out of Jacksonville. Any chance that could, that relationship can reform? Ohio State, of course.
I mean, my God, I didn't like the Urban hire to Jacksonville from the get-go. And, I just wonder how many times we're going to see college coaches go to the NFL. Like, yes, there's been a Pete Carroll, but, I'll take your Pete Carroll and I'll raise you a Nick Saban that wasn't a great NFL head coach. I mean, we see it over and over and over again. Matt Rule was supposed to be a culture changer in Carolina. Like, some guys, their whole vibe just doesn't click. The question for me, and this is a genuine one, is that in a name, image, likeness world where empowerment has become such a big part of what college athletes are proud of and should be, by the way, let me say that loudly, they should be at this point. Are they going to buy the same level of the you-know-whats from certain coaches? I don't know the answer to that. And that's why I have to wonder if Urban's message is just not going to resonate, even though he has so much history there, and even though, sometimes, but in reality, in life, how many times have any of us ever texted our ex you up and had it work out? Like, I just feel like this is crazy getting back with crazy, and everybody else in the room is going to roll their eyes and say, oh my God, we know how this is going to end. and then it's inevitable. Like, we'll all watch it because it's a dumpster fire, but we all know how it's going to end.
All right, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, good enough to hang out with us this week. Jason, I'm moving on that last week of December. I said all my closest friends are helping me move, so I'll send you my address. All right, we'll arrange that. Okay.
So you send me the address. I'll send what you really need when you finish moving, which is alcohol. I'll take care of that.
Oh, damn. Okay. All right. Hey, Jason, thanks so much. You take care. We'll talk later.
Appreciate you guys.
Later. All right, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Good stuff there. Appreciate him taking time and hanging out with us here this afternoon. But so that Ryan Day thing, there's something there. Like, I don't want to be that guy that's like, he's not going anywhere. And I'm seeing a lot of that. You Buckeye fans that are doing this whole, what's a better job than Ohio State? Stop. Oklahoma fans said the same thing about Oklahoma. Right. I mean, sure, there's better jobs in Oklahoma, but like, Oklahoma's not the school that you go to leapfrog to take a better job. Like, that's a destination school.
Absolutely.
Notre Dame's a destination school. Who the hell are you as Buckeye fans to be so egotistical to think that, well, it's Ohio State. What better job is other? Jason's right. In the Jerry Jones line, I didn't know that. I didn't hear that line from Jerry Jones, but it's interesting. So when Jerry Jones was asked about how it impacts the NFL, that the college coaches, that their salaries are just going up and up and up, and he said it should be that way. It shouldn't impact the NFL. That college coaches should be getting paid more. They work 365 days a year. NFL, they don't. And it's true. They don't. The NFL coaches, they work less. And that's not a shot at NFL coaches. I mean,
they have to work less.
They have to work. I mean, there's dead periods. I mean, not dead periods, but there's, I mean, there's dead periods in college as well, but you're always recruiting. You're always selling. There's no such thing as, oh, cool, I could just
go into booster meetings, all types of stuff. And the NFL coaches, they don't have to deal with any of that type of stuff. They are, like you said, dead periods. Like, all right, they go to the scouting combine. They go to the office and do regular work and everything like that. But, when there aren't OTAs, like, they're not out there breaking down film. Like, all right, well, we'll break it down when we have to. Like, it just is what it is. Like you said, we can't sit in the world and say, like, oh man, he's never going to leave. Like, the days of Joe Paterno showing up at Penn State in 19 whatever and staying until 2000 whatever ain't gonna happen. The days of Bobby Bowden showing up on the campus of Florida State in like the 70s or whatever and not leaving until the 2000s, that's over. That's over. We have seen time and time again that guys that have aspirations will and can leave. He's only 42 years old. He's 42 years old. So for us to actually sit here and think like, oh man, he's going to be an Ohio State coach until he's 70. That's stupid. Like, so do I think he's going to leave? I don't think so. Because I think that the Chicago Bears are a dumpster fire. I think he's smart enough to see what happened with Urban Meyer going to a dumpster fire organization to wait to go to a better situation. I always say that, but they ultimately always go to bad situations.
I don't think the Bears are bad. I mean, they're not the prettiest situation right now. I mean, they're a boob job away from being pretty. I mean, I'm just saying. Too far? Bueller?
You don't think they're a bad organization? Well, the people in charge. So the person in charge is the GM. And he hired the coach.
They'll spend money.
Yeah.
They've always had a good defense. Like Jacksonville, that was a train wreck. They were a train wreck before Urban Meyer got there.
They were a train wreck when they were going to the AFC Championship.
But I have to admit something. I was wrong I said that the Bengals were the worst organization in football. They're not. I was wrong on that. I was, I don't like the Bengals organization. I think that they're fortunate to be in the situation that they have a quarterback that makes them an organization people care about. They're still almost messing it up, but even they're not handling the Burrow thing flawlessly. But the way I had envisioned Joe Burrow's run in Cincinnati going is Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville right now. So I was wrong. I was 1,000,000% wrong. Cincinnati's bad. They're a horrible organization, but they're
Zach
not
Wilson up in New York.
Yeah, they're not Jacksonville bad, and they're not Jets bad. So I will admit that I was wrong on that, Bengals fans, and I apologize. So they are not, but they're still not good. That doesn't mean that, you're the third worst. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're great. But no, the way that things are going in Cincinnati, but Cincinnati had talent when Burrow got there. I mean, you brought in T. Higgins, you already had Joe Mixon, you already had Tyler Boyd. I mean, to act like Cincinnati had nobody. I mean, Jacksonville stripped that roster to the bare bones, had $70 million in cap space, and did nothing in free agency. And then they made a bunch of weird draft picks. They like Urban. I'm not defending Urban, but they didn't put him in position to succeed. And real quick, I'm going to kill this music here real quick on this Urban Meyer thing. I'm defending Urban. I'm defending the head coach of the Jaguars, not the individual, but the position. And here's why. $70 million in cap space. They had more cap space than any other team in football heading into the offseason. You had multiple top draft picks, first-round picks. And I said, the NFL, you could turn the Jacksonville Jaguars know better than anybody how quickly you could turn things around. They went from 3-13 to a quarter away from a Super Bowl appearance the very next year. They know better than anybody how quick things could turn around. You had $70 million in cap space. You couldn't go field a one-sided, like you could have spent all that money on the defense the way the Bengals did, drafted an offense, a better offense, or spent money on offense and defense. The Jaguars should not be this bad. There's absolutely no excuse. And I hate when people say, well, Urban's going to come in and it's going to be a project. It's going to take a couple years. Well, we always say that, but then can you think of a team that's losing that there is not some kind of discord behind the scenes? There is no way. Like, I hate when people say, well, you need a coach that can, implement a culture. There's no such thing as a good culture in a team that has a losing record right now at this point of the season. Everyone's pissed off. Everyone's sick of being around the same people every day at this point. And it's one thing if you're the Browns or Bengals and you're around the same people every day, but you're in the playoff hunt and you're fighting for something. What about the teams that have been eliminated by now? All of those teams are bad roster-wise. Their coaches are being blamed for the culture in the locker room, but how do you get a bunch of guys to smile coming to work every day when your team has 2 or 3 wins?
Right.
That's not fair to say that all of the collapsing of the players behind the scenes is Urban's fault, because the same thing's happening with the Jets. The same thing's happening with a lot of bad teams. And, when Cleveland started to lose, things started to unravel. Well, guess what? They're winning now. Now everything's back to nice quotes. Baker's so tough. We love Baker. We love Myles Garrett. But when things were losing, you had Myles Garrett calling out the coaching staff, players' dads calling out Baker Mayfield. You see what I mean? Like, when losing happens, it doesn't matter who the coach is. There's going to be drama behind the scenes. So I'm not defending Urban Meyer, but this is why I don't believe in the NFL of, well, you have a couple years to figure it out. No, you don't. Because the second you lose, bad culture or there's bad mojo that overtakes the locker room, and then we label the coaches as guys that can't control their locker room. Well, I'm not going to label Bill Belichick as a guy that can control the locker room when all he does is win. Last year things got a little dicey, and guess what? Chirpiness happened.
Right.
There was players who weren't happy. There was a lot of things being said about Bill Belichick behind the scenes of, see, this guy's nothing without Tom Brady. That's Bill Belichick. And now here we are a year later and he's a genius again? No, he just has talent again. It's that simple. Urban Meyer had 0 talent in Jacksonville, which is why the whole concept of giving an unexperienced first-time rookie head coach a job in Jacksonville to lead a rookie quarterback with no NFL experience, that was the blind leading the blind. I don't feel bad for Urban because a lot of stuff is self-inflicted with him, but this wasn't going to work. I didn't envision it going this far south, Kev, but I did not think it would get to this point. Like, Urban's going to be the scapegoat. He's why the culture sucks. He's why this.
Right.
Maybe it's the ownership that had $70 million in cap space and did nothing to improve this roster. Maybe it's the fact that you already had a 1,000-yard rusher and you still drafted Travis Etienne. Anyways, like those are dumb decisions. Urban played a role in those too, but someone had to say, yeah, Urban, good call.
Right.
No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right. 2 things can be true at the same time. The first part about Jacksonville Jaguars, don't forget that they have a first-time GM as well.
It's just
the guy Caldwell, who was a GM who drafted Jalen Ramsey and all the guys that were balling out on defense that helped him get to the AFC Championship. Leonard Fournette, the guy that constructed that team, he was ousted. They brought in a new GM, brought in a rookie head coach, a rookie first-round pick, number 1 pick. I think the problem is not only the losing, but the way they're losing these games. I mean, like, in today's NFL, to get a goose egg, like, it's literally set up for you to score at will in today's NFL, and you can't even get on the board at all in this game versus the Titans and everything
unless
like
you're
that.
in the AFC North. I mean, to be fair, points aren't being put up on the board that easy for this year's been a bad offensive year. Like, I don't know if it's a good defensive year.
I think it's been a good defensive year, and I think that is needed in football.
Like, the run game's taken over too, which is taking more time off the clock, which is leading to less scoring opportunities. Continue your point, but that's the article I read the other day that I was telling you about that was talking about the game has shifted this year. The run game has dominated. Like we talk about the quarterback so much, but let's not forget that the run game has been the face of the NFL this year, and it's dominated time of possession, which has led to less possessions for quarterbacks, and I told you, remember, there's 10,000 less total passing yards at this point of the season than where we were at this point of the season 2 years ago, which shows that there's a shift in how the game is being played right now. Finish your point, but I just wanted to throw that in there that, like, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, like, but you don't have a running back, or you do, and you're not playing him.
Yeah,
it's a weird dynamic.
That thing is crazy. That is crazy. I mean, one of the best rookie running backs of last season, and this game, he gets 6 carries. You only run the ball 8 times. You run the ball 8 times in an NFL game. Now, I know it's a passing league, yada, 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 but 8 run attempts is just crazy. And I mean, at that time, at halftime, it's only 10-0. Like we look at 10 points, it's like a whole bunch of points. You score 1 touchdown, you're right back in the game. So that type of stuff. And then not to mention the rumors going around about him berating his staff, who he hired. You know what I'm saying? It's like that stuff is bad, along with the organization being bad. So I knew this was going to be a train wreck from the jump. I never thought he should have took the job. I can't tell somebody not to take a job. I mean, they threw a whole bunch of money at him. So, hey, go get your bag. But at the same time, like, some of this is on him as well. And ultimately, I don't think he should be fired. I believe he should have the opportunity to come back next year and to, quote unquote, right his wrongs. And like, all right, man, he got a season under his belt. Let's see Urban Meyer be a coach and adjust. And that's what he does. That's what head coaches do, adjust. I don't think it would be fair to fire him after 1 year. I didn't think it would be fair than to fire him over the incident he had up in Columbus and everything like that. I think that he's growing as a head coach of the NFL. He's learning, like, all right, the things that I got away with or did and the way I coached in college don't fly in the NFL. So I think he's afforded the opportunity to be able to come back next season and run the whole season, and they can reevaluate after that. I think it would be foul if they fired him after 1 season. And the same thing goes for Saleh up there in New York with the Jets. Like if you hire a guy, unless this thing is just completely off the rails and he's fighting people in the locker room and everything like that, then you would have cause for it. But like, give him an opportunity. Don't just, it didn't work year 1, we're done. Like, give him an opportunity, at least 2 years, at least.
I agree, especially, like, to use the Bengals as an example. I don't think Zach Taylor should be the coach long-term moving forward for the Bengals, but that's not necessarily the conversation. But last year I was jumping on them because you had a lot of Bengals that were on the roster for the Marvin Lewis era, like Carlos Dunlap and others, who were saying, oh, man, I hate Zach Taylor. I hate playing for him. Well, usually the coach that's being – if Urban Meyer is being hard on players in Jacksonville, it's because they're a 2-win team that's not very good, and there's not a lot of good players. You know what you don't hear as much out of Cincinnati this year? I don't hear a peep about players not being happy with Zach Taylor from that standpoint. I'm sure there's some that don't like the play calling decisions from here and there, but no one's coming out. There's not a toxic culture in Cincinnati because of Zach Taylor. But why? It's because he has good players, and they're a good team, and they're winning. But last year when they weren't winning, what was happening? Toxic, right? Carlos Dunlap calling him out. You had a lot, Atkins calling him out. There was a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, so can you think of a bad team that lost, that everything was hunky-dory, that there wasn't players calling out the coach, that there wasn't assistant coaches mad at the head coach? There is always going to be that in a losing locker room. So that's why I agree with you. Urban needs another year. Urban needs another year only if the Jaguars are dedicated to improving that roster. You didn't spend that $70 million last year, so you have money. The cap's going up, so you're going to have even more money. If the Jags bring another bad roster into 22, then just move. If you have no intentions of bettering this roster, get rid of Urban Meyer and just start over from starting over again. I don't know what else to say, but like, I think he does deserve another year. I don't know if he's going to get that other year, but I think he deserves another year. Reset that coaching staff, do what you got to do. But there is no such thing as, I can't think of one losing team. I'm looking at the NFL right now. And, the Dolphins, there was talks of the Dolphins looking at new quarterbacks. There was a talk looking at new head coaches publicly.
Yeah.
There was drama there. But guess what? The Dolphins are winning again. You know what you're not hearing? Deshaun Watson rumors. You're not hearing moving on from what's his name? From Tua, but the coach. I like him too, but
Flores.
But remember that just not even a month and a half ago, there was
playing
talks
good
of
football. They're playing defense again.
but now we're not hearing about discord within the Dolphins locker room. It's amazing how that works. Guess what? When Pittsburgh was winning games, remember they had won three or four straight. cricket. There was no Claypool drama. There was no Juju drama. There was nothing. It was, man, look at Mike Tomlin, such a great leader, doing more with less. Look at the Steelers. But now they're losing. And now there's Claypool drama. And now they're, you know what I mean? Like there's all this mess and it's, losing games because of boneheadedness going on the field. And now everyone's like, oh man, Mike Tomlin, again, no, he's a legendary coach, but like another player that you're not able to handle. What's going on in Pittsburgh? There's no such thing as teams losing that there's not questions being made about the head coach, that there's not questions about the vibe in the locker room. There's like, it sucks to lose. No one's smiling. Right. And if you are sitting next to a smiling individual while you're losing, that's part of the problem as well. Let's go down to the Lions. The Lions, that's another. Actually, the Lions might be the only.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Like, if Jacksonville was losing like the Lions, I don't think it would be as big of a deal because everybody, the kneecaps thing and the way they fight, and they've lost so many games at the buzzer and everything like that. And he's a rookie coach and like, all right, man, we're seeing them grow. We're seeing them almost there. They just can't get over the hump. Like, I think it would be different. I think it would be viewed different because, everybody like, all right, the Lions, they not good, but at least they trying. Like this whole thing in Jacksonville, it just looks bad. But I have a question. Go ahead.
Sorry, to counter that real quick. Detroit had no expectations coming into the year, though, to be fair. Jacksonville, for whatever reason, I think we just thought Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, the rest will fall into place. This isn't college where you could just take a great quarterback and a great head coach, drop it on a college roster, and all of a sudden everything looks different. Mac Brown took over North Carolina. I know he didn't turn them into a national title contender, but that first year he took over, remember that was the year that they were competitive in every game. Yeah. The right coach, the right quarterback, it's a completely different outcome. Remember they almost beat Clemson that year. Mm-hmm. And that was the year everyone was mad that Clemson was still in the playoff because they almost lost to North Carolina. But no, I think Jacksonville, I think it's because the bar was higher. Yeah. Detroit's bar wasn't very high. Real quick, another example, the NFC East, the Giants. I mean, it sounds like it's a toxic environment with that franchise right now. Why? Because they're losing. If they're winning, you don't hear anything. The Eagles, same thing. 1 week, it looks like Jalen Hurts is the guy. The next week, it's not. Now you're hearing rumors of them looking at Deshaun Watson. And then it's like, again, more of a disaster. And then Washington, nothing left to be said about that. The Minnesota Vikings, talking about moving on from their head coach. The Saints, there's all this. Why do they give that money to this guy? Man, I don't think Sean Payton knows what he's doing. I don't think he's as good a coach as people thought. Or maybe it's because he doesn't have Drew Brees anymore. Bill Belichick. Man,
or even Jameis.
Oh, man, Bill Belichick. I don't think he's that good or whatever without Tom Brady. Yeah, because he doesn't have Tom Brady. He gets a very good rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. And by the way, they spent $140 million in the offseason, and they got all the guys back that were off the roster because of COVID. And now all of a sudden he's a genius again. It just cracks me up. I'm defending Urban here to a certain extent. Yes, it looks bad for Urban Meyer for the collapse of the Jaguars, but you can't collapse something that wasn't standing to begin with. But it's Urban. Will you at least admit that the media does have venom towards him, that like most coaches, if you put any other coach,
I'm the wrong person to ask
because you have that same venom towards him, but like not in a bad way.
I'm the wrong person to ask. So whatever, because I'm going to be saying no because I've never been an Urban Meyer guy ever. I'm consistent even when he showed up at Ohio State. Like I'm not going to sit here and act like he's not a great coach. Like he is a great coach. I'm just not an Urban Meyer guy. Like it is what it is. Like, but he won a ton of games at Bowling Green, at Utah, at Florida, at Ohio State. He can recruit his butt off. He can motivate his butt off. But I was never sure that his style was going to translate to the NFL. And you have to have a unique viewpoint on how to translate that style. And not too many college coaches have been able to succeed that way when you're the main guy in town. But something I wanted to ask you.
Said you want to ask me something.
Yes. If you are Trevor Lawrence and his camp, and you don't think you're being developed correctly, do you ask for a trade?
I think so for instance, here's an example. Joe Burrow last year, I thought he was handled horribly. Dropping him back 40 times a game with the worst offensive line in football, just getting him massacred. Joe Burrow had nothing going for him, and yet his numbers were through the roof. He had a great rookie year despite everything going against him. Joe Burrow would have had leverage. And again, I'm not saying he should have. I'm not. It's the context of your question. Joe Burrow had leverage if he wanted to force his way out of Cincinnati last year. Like, hey, guys, I was warned that you were going to do this to me. I had my leg sawed off. I mean, I was warned you were going to ruin my career because you don't you don't take winning seriously. But he at least had the great numbers to back it up. If Joe Burrow wanted to be that guy to say, get me the hell out of here, it's warranted. He has the numbers to back it up that I'm a good quarterback. I'm not going to stay here and risk you ruining my career. Trevor Lawrence has not had a good enough rookie year to warrant that. I think it would be foolish. And I don't know how many teams. I'm not saying no team would line up to get him.
You don't think so?
No one. I mean, look, last year the Chargers were bad. Everyone, including me, drooled over Justin Herbert. The Bengals were bad last year. Everyone drooled over Joe Burrow. Baker's rookie year, everyone drooled over Baker initially, right? Like, we've seen good quarterbacks on bad teams that people drool over right away. No one's drooling over Trevor Lawrence. Now, his get-out-of-jail-free card might be, hey, guys, I'm bad, but look who's leading me over here. Look at this cuckoo guy over here. That might work for him, but I said at the beginning, Urban Meyer shouldn't be expected to win a lot of games this year. He needs to be expected to develop Trevor Lawrence. Zach Taylor, the reason things went okay for him, Joe Burrow looked good while he was there. You know what I mean? Like, as long as the quarterback looks good while you're there, that's all that matters. But then again, the Chargers fired their coach, and Hugh Jackson's no longer in Cleveland, so I don't know really where the hell I'm going with that point. I just countered everything. But you know what I'm saying. What do you think?
If I'm Trevor Lawrence and I truly feel like I'm not being developed correctly and there aren't any moves made initially to bring in a new OC or tweak things about how we're going to be going things in the next upcoming season, I'm asking for a trade because there's not a QB out there in this upcoming draft that's better than him. So
that Pickett kid, watch, I guarantee you.
Oh, he's going to skyrocket for sure. He's super athletic.
He's going to be the next Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert in the draft. And every year this happens. That quarterback no one talks about, all of a sudden he's a somebody. Trey Lance was a somebody by the time it was all said and done. Actually, it was Zach Wilson. Trey Lance was being talked about in the previous year's draft. Zach Wilson's the one that shot up the board last year. I think that's going to be Pickett this year. But real quick, we're way over. So I got to step aside.
I didn't even look at the clock.
Yeah, 518-1410, 518-1410. I still want to jump in. Ryan Day's agent, this wasn't a very convincing denial, by the way. And Mike Tomlin's the king of denial. And Ryan Day's not pulling a Mike Tomlin. So I'm just saying, Buckeye fans, prepare for the worst. I'm not guaranteeing he's leaving Columbus, but like, you guys are kind of sounding kind of foolish if you are arrogant enough to think Ryan Day, he's the head coach of Ohio State. He's going nowhere. That arrogance is the one reason you're one of the most hated fan bases in all of sports. Just so you know, that arrogance of, oh man, we're on par with Alabama. Alabama wins championships every other year. You haven't won one since 14. Stop acting like this is the highest of levels. For football, Ryan Day can actually go on to make more money to work less. I'm just saying, or actually, he's not even paid a lot of money at Ohio State. And if I'm Gene Smith, sorry, let me get your mic. What's that?
Can he pay for movers?
He could pay for movers. The Bears better pay for movers for him when that happens. But I don't know. I like chaos. And the reason Ryan Day leaving to me is chaos is because Urban, he's going in as Urban's coming out.
No.
And by the way, you're allowed to criticize Urban because you've been consistent from the very beginning, but the people I'm talking to on the other side of this baby, they all need to shove it because they loved Urban. They loved Urban. And now all of a sudden they don't like Urban. Why? What did he do to you? He did nothing to you. Urban is doing the same thing in Jacksonville personality-wise that he's done everywhere. That same personality that you're knocking right now, you were ready to riot in Columbus when people were coming out ready to take him out, take him out of that job. You guys are hypocrites, Buckeye fans. If you don't want Urban Meyer back, you're hypocrites, all of you. I'm just saying. And I think Urban Meyer, I would like him back in Ohio. If Ryan Day, I'm not saying I'd want him over Ryan Day right now, but if Ryan Day's gone, welcome back, Urban. Nick Saban went to the NFL, at one point almost tarnished how people viewed him, and now he's a god. I'm not saying Urban will be god, but I mean, he can be cult-like.
QB power.
We'll be back.
QB draw on first down.
You know how do the Dougie. You can do the Urban. Just run your hand through your hair. Yep. They got to make the sound, though.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
Would you like to save hundreds of dollars on your real estate taxes? Celebrate the holidays with the gift of a lower tax bill. This is Montgomery County Auditor Carl Keith, and if you're a homeowner age 65 or older, or you are permanently and totally disabled, you could be eligible for the homestead exemption. To find out if you qualify, call my homestead hotline at 937-225-4341. The deadline to apply for this tax break is December 31st, but if you are already enrolled, you do not need to reapply. New applicants are subject to an income test. Visit our website for more information at mcauditor.org or call 937-225-4341. That hotline number again is 937-225-4341. And remember, the deadline to apply is December 31st. This is Auditor Carl Keith wishing you and your homestead the best this holiday season.
Save big money now at Menards. Keep your home's temperature comfortable year-round while saving energy with a new Honeywell home thermostat. The Honeywell Home Wi-Fi T5 programmable thermostat lets you sync your comfort to your schedule with its 7-day programming, easily controlled with your smartphone or tablet. This fantastic thermostat is available for only $119. Plus, give the perfect gift with the Menards gift card.
More seasons greetings to you all from Menards.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
Have you ever thought about having a podiatric physician examine your feet? Doctors of podiatric medicine set broken bones, perform wound care, and remove bunions. Common health issues that they treat include ingrown or fungal nails, corns, warts, and skin problems like athlete's foot. Foot exams are easy and can prevent many problems. If you can't walk, work, or enjoy sports activities without pain, what are you waiting for? To find a podiatric physician who is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Whether you're vaccinated or not, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign, and only the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them and cannot be relied on. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at exergen.com.
At CDW, we get modern servers need to be flexible, scalable, and predictable. I predicted you'd say that. Okay, what will I say next? Probably something about server security. Impressive and freaky. CDW can implement secure Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Gen 10 servers that improve speed and performance while reducing costs. See predictable. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. I predict a web address. CDW.com/HPE. I'm in your mind, man.
Get into the holiday spirit at Lowe's Winterfest with aisles of holiday festivities and savings on the season's best home tech.
High prices don't get you a great network. A great network gets you a great network. It's why Total Wireless runs on the largest, most dependable network with nationwide 5G. And now our totally unlimited plan is just $50 a month for talk, text, and high-speed data that never run out. Get unlimited laughing, scrolling, unlimited everything. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Total Wireless stores. Capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. Total Wireless reserves the right to review your account after 60 gigs. Terms and conditions at totalwireless.com/terms.
What makes the holidays so magical? Oddly enough, it's not magic. It happens when something appears right when you need it, like the holiday gifts you ordered and had delivered with the Home Depot app. Or when you can build something out of nothing by watching our holiday how-to videos. Or when you know what an object is just by snapping a photo with image search on our app. These things don't take magic. Nope, you just need the impressive technology behind our app. Make the holidays yours with a little help from the Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Germain Honda, Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0% financing on the 21 Passport, the 22 Pilot, and HRV, or 1.9% for 48 months on the 22 Odyssey. Lease a 22 HRV Sport for as little as $229 a month, or a CRV Hybrid EX for as little as $279 a month. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We are located on Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda, Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Take home Frickers Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
I'm not an aged veteran at this radio thing by any means, but I should know that after 5 years on the radio that I should not eat hot Cheetos during a commercial break and expect to be, capable of coming back and talking normal. My throat is on fire right now. So excuse me one moment. I just needed that little swig of water. Didn't do anything, but at least I feel like I did. We welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Just a reminder, the Justin Kinner Show brought to you by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. I appreciate Brad and the job that he has done in helping me and my fiance buy our first home. If you're interested in buying or selling, contact Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty today, 937-572-7425. Or you can give him an email at bradmaysre@gmail.com. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, Orion Sports Medicine, and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Wrap up our sponsors of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Interesting tidbit from ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, who just joined us. I talked about, the fact, the possibility of Ryan Day leaving Ohio State. I think it's very likely. This is an article from USA Today. The agent for Ryan Day denied a report claiming that he and the Ohio State coach could be part of a package deal to join the Chicago Bears. Now, pay attention to that wording, and then pay attention to the quote that's coming up and tell me that I'm not onto something here. This was a very smart way of denying that he is going to the Bears, but not denying that Ryan Day is going to the Bears. Because keep in mind, Ryan Day's agent denies report linking him and the Buckeye coach to the Bears. There is a key here. There are a lot of rumors that the agent, a former Chicago Bear, by the way,
right,
that the agent and Ryan Day as a package deal are going to Chicago. That's the rumor. That's the report that's out there. He denied that he and Ryan Day are not going to the Bears. He denied that they as a package deal. Now, I'm not skewing that. Listen to this. The agent for Ryan Day denied a report claiming that he and Ohio State coach could be part of a package deal to join the Chicago Bears. Buckeye fans are like, Ryan Day's going nowhere. Oh, freaking H, baby.
I-O.
So, not so fast. Gotta kill the.
Oh, no.
So, Ryan Day's agent, he says that, he denied it. That he and Ohio State coach Ryan Day could be going to the Bears as a package deal. The package deal is key. The conspiracy theory goes on. Continue on. I believe Ryan Day could be going to the Bears. I believe Ryan Day could be going to the Bears, and here's why. The agent denied that they would be going as a package deal. Maybe the agent's not going to work for the Bears. Other interesting thing to keep in mind, this agent is also the same agent of Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly. Just throwing that out there. Keep that in mind. He goes on to say, the agent of Ryan Day says, I have the utmost respect for the Bears organization, the McCaskey family, and Ted Phillips. Armstrong, the agent said in a tweet on Sunday. However, any assertion that I have engaged in conversations with them about joining the club in any capacity is simply not true. Well, this is a divide and conquer, baby. He denied them being a package deal, and then right there in that quote, denied that he will be going to the Bears. Day did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Well, sometimes there's nothing to say. And sometimes when there's nothing to say, sometimes when you say nothing, you have already said more than saying anything. Like Mike Tomlin, the reason that denial by Mike Tomlin is so key is because I have always said, if you want out of anything, assert yourself. Because you want to know what Mike Tomlin has not been asked since that day? Hey, what do you think about that?
Just to clarify.
No. So Ryan Day is not a victim here. Buckeye fans, you're not victims here. You are technically, but Ryan Day is the one that's hurting you guys because Ryan Day has not come out and said, yeah, F off, Bears. I want nothing to do with you. Now, this again, Armstrong, it's the agent for Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly. Riley recently left for Oklahoma or left Oklahoma for USC. Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU. Armstrong is, see, this is where it gets complicated. Armstrong's also the agent for Bears coach Matt Nagy. That's so weird.
These agents, man.
Who is considered unlikely to be retained. Now, here's the deal. I believe Ryan Day is playing a game here. One or two things could be true. Leverage. Ryan Day has leverage. Ryan Day had leverage. The second Mel Tucker signed that $9.5 million contract, Ryan Day already had leverage.
Right.
Top recruiting class after top recruiting class, playoffs 2 of the first 3 years, including a national championship appearance. I mean, come on. Even this year, Ohio State was great. They're still to me, Ohio State's still the best team in the Big Ten. That's not a homer take. I think
that's program.
But I will say this. Let's say that everyone said, you know what? The college football playoff committee, they were drunk all year. Those were rigged results. We got to restart the season. So let's make them restart the season. Do you think that people are going to put money on Michigan?
Right.
I still think everyone's going to go back to I think you replay the season. I'm still going to say that even after watching them lose to Michigan, I still think that same two teams play. I mean, man, Shaw don't even watch the first one. I highly doubt he watches the second one. I think, you know what I mean? This is the best Michigan team since Harbaugh's been. Well, no, I don't know. That 16 team that 18 team was pretty good, but not the point. This is a good team. Best team Harbaugh's had in a while, and it could not have come at a better time for him to save his job. But I look at Ryan Day right now. James Franklin makes $7 million a year. Ryan Day is the third highest paid coach in the Big Ten. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Now we got to give it time. Ohio State likes to operate on a outside the season basis, although there's no such thing as an outside the season basis. Next season's already going on right now. Tomorrow's National Signing Day, okay, or early signing day. Okay, so this this take that Ryan Day has, when you hear him in these press conferences, that the only thing that matters is this season. Well, no, because it doesn't. I mean, every decision you make today impacts next year, and it includes taking job offers or interviews from other teams. So James Franklin makes $7 million a year. Mel Tucker makes $9.5 million a year. Other coaches are right there. Ferentz is right there with Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day makes more, but not by much. Point is, Ryan Day should be miles ahead of those guys, and he's not. this could be two different things. Let this go public. Let the agent be in the media. Let the agent be putting quotes out there. Let Gene Smith sweat. Let Gene Smith be the one to say, okay, we can't lose him to the Bears. Ryan Day, get your ass in here. All right, here's a blank check. Tell me what the hell you want. I'll sign it, and we'll all go on with our, regular daily routine. I don't know if that's happening or not. That could be Ryan Day using leverage in the media through his agent. Or where there's smoke, there's fire, and he could be interested in leaving. Ryan Day was a happy-go-lucky guy. Remember when he took over? He looked miserable. Not that you're supposed to look happy after a loss to Michigan. But the worst day, I don't know, man. I'm not going to put any money on him staying at Ohio State. I'm not going to put money on him leaving, but I'm not confident he's staying either.
Well, you got to pick one.
I don't. You don't either. Our names are on the show, man. We can do whatever the hell we want. Unless you're David Shaw, you got to do what we tell you, or we just won't read your messages anymore. But what are you thinking? How is this being played? You see what I mean by using the media leverage?
Oh, absolutely.
I think this.
Absolutely. It's not to be crazy or anything like that, but it's going to go either one of two ways. He's about to get a hefty raise from Ohio State using this as leverage. Like, hey, man, look, all these other dudes and got big contracts. I haven't got my big contract yet. And we are the most powerful program in the Big Ten. Pay me. I need to be 9 million, period.
Real quick, I got to give attention to a delusional Buckeye fan. Matthew Hedrick says, so he goes out and hires a new defensive coordinator, but he's just going to leave Ohio State? Yes.
The program hired a new defensive coordinator, not just him.
Again, you guys sound foolish. You sound like the Oklahoma and Notre Dame fans who were all talking with their chests just like you guys. Like, we're crazy. So Ryan Day hires a defensive coordinator, but he's just going to turn around and leave? Yes. Tomorrow's National Signing Day. Ryan Day is going to get all those guys to sign on the dotted line and then tell all those kids, deuces, I'm out of here. He could end up staying with Ohio State. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed he's leaving, but you guys are fools if you think he is definitely staying. That's all I got to say.
That's how the game is played. Look, Brian Kelly was on recruiting visits as his contract was being finalized with his agent at LSU. And you do that up until the 9th hour because something could go wrong. Something could hit a snag. They could say something and your agent calls you back and you not liking and say, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay where I'm at. So you play it out. You let it play out. And more importantly, you let it play out because you don't know if the Bears, what they're going to do. They might do something crazy like keep Nagy for all he knows. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think, signing day is tomorrow. The NFL season doesn't end until January. That's like another 3-4 weeks. So just in case you end up not going there, you want to make sure everything is good at home first.
Make sure you have your defensive coordinator.
Yeah, play it out. Like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure this is all good in case I do stay. And if I leave, they'll be fine. And then I'll go to the NFL and I'll be
Michigan here in a second.
No, you're not. No,
Buckeye
you're not.
Fans are dumb. They're delusional. They really are.
You gonna say those words with the beautiful scarlet and gray on your chest?
I could represent. I could show my support of the program and still admit that the fan base is dumb. A good chunk of them. You're dumb if you think that Ryan Day is 1,000,000% committed to Ohio State and has zero interest in leaving.
Look, man,
if he did, he would have told you by now. It's that simple, and he hasn't.
It's as simple as this, man. We have seen it 2 times in the last 2 weeks with Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley. We've seen it with Jimbo Fisher. Like, these dudes ain't committed to staying one place forever. Yes, there are anomalies. Is Ryan Day an anomaly? I will find out one way or another. But to actually think like, oh, there's no way. No, you have no idea what his ambitions are, what his personal goals are. Matter of fact, what his family's goals are. You know, like we hear all this stuff about Russell Wilson and him and Sierra, his wife, wanting to get to a bigger market because she's an entertainer and yada, 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 that stuff like that. Talk about him wanting to be in Las Vegas to help her career out, him being in New York to help her career out. We have no idea what his wife wants. We have no idea what his family wants. We want him to stay at Ohio State forever and win games forever. Until he's not winning games. So for us to sit here and act like we know this dude, that's stupid. Like, come on, man. Like, all we can do as fans is hope he stays, hope that, Gene Smith, if this is a money play, Gene Smith give him what he wants, or if we don't have the funds, or just say, hey, man, he really just wants to go to the NFL and try his hands at the NFL, that Gene Smith continues to do what Gene Smith does and find another elite coach to take his place and keep on rolling.
It's all you can do. On YouTube, Matt says he already coached once at the NFL. There's a reason he never went back and he went to the college route instead. There's always a reason. And by the way, there's a reason that Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma for so long until there was a reason to leave. I mean, it's that simple.
There's
you guys,
big difference between being an assistant to an assistant, which he was in the NFL, than being the head guy.
And there's a reason that once you taste the head coach level of college football and you realize how hard it is to win a national championship, and you win, I mean, he went to the playoffs twice, gets to a national championship game against a program that everyone views Ohio State as an equal to, and then found out very quickly that they're not an equal to. And that was a talented roster. Like, you guys got to stop this. It's okay to say, hey, I don't think he's going to go anywhere, but you're not allowed to say, oh, I know he's going anywhere.
There you go.
Like, you could think he's going to stay, and that's okay. You can think that. But what I'm not going to put up with is these things of, well, he tried the NFL once. Why would he? There's no way he's going to go back. Don't waste my time or your family or friends' time with that. Your family. Guys, don't be that goofy Oklahoma fan that said Lincoln Riley was going nowhere. Because, by the way, Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day are in the same exact position. They're in the same exact position. They are both head coaches of teams that are the face of their conference. And there was no reason for Lincoln Riley to leave, and he left. There was no reason for Brian Kelly to leave, and he left. And by the way, this is what's beautiful about this take of ours, Kev, is that even if he leaves or even if he stays, I wasn't wrong. I didn't say I guarantee you he's out of here. All I'm telling you is the way that if this season has taught us anything, you are not allowed to say, oh, our coach is going nowhere. The only coach that's going nowhere is Alabama's Nick Saban. And the only thing that can change there is if he retires. Yeah, there's only one coach.
75 years old.
There's only one coach that a fan base can say, oh, yeah, I know for a fact he's going nowhere, and that's Alabama. But if you're a Buckeye fan that's doing this whole, no, are you kidding me? I mean, Jesus wishes he was alive again so he can go to Columbus because that's actually heaven. I mean, like, you guys are ridiculous, man. Like, stop being so delusional.
And another thing about it is, especially for myself, I always think, like, all right, man, these dudes are going to stick around and wait for a better job to open. Well, guess what? There's only 32 jobs in the NFL. So you waiting on the good one to open? The good one may never open. The Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1970. So, oh, man, I'm going to just wait for that Steelers job. I'm going to wait for Mike Tomlin to finally leave. And it never opens. Oh, I'm going to finally wait for Bill Belichick to call it quits. Oh, they hire within. Like, so for me especially, and I'm sure that other people out there think like this, that coaches aren't going to leave until they find the quote unquote right landing spot. That just doesn't happen, because we saw Saleh go to the Jets, and the Jets have been a dumpster fire forever. They've been a dumpster fire, I think, outside of Joe Willie Namath and the little brief stint with Rex Ryan. They've been terrible. Ken O'Brien was their quarterback. Like, back when I was a kid, they was trashed in, and they trash right now. But guess what? It's an opportunity. It's only 32 NFL head coaching jobs. So when one opens, chances are, if you're interested, you're going to listen. And if they're talking the right numbers and they're talking about the right power, you're probably going to go.
Yeah, and you just heard Jason Fitz a little bit ago say that, it's, there's not a whole lot of good coaching candidates out there. Ryan Day would be one of the few, and he would garner a lot of money.
Let me ask you a quick question. So we know the Raiders going to have an opening. Potentially Jacksonville. Potentially the Texans are one and done with David Coley. Potentially the Bears, Giants, Jets, and maybe even the Seahawks. Out of those, if you were a head coach, where would you want to land?
I think Chicago's the best one. You have the youngest quarterback, top defense. And I'm glad that was a perfect segue into my next point here. The other reason you guys need to stop acting like Ohio State is bulletproof here is because we just talked about it. You don't have to recruit. You actually get some off time and you get to relax. Everyone talks about how he has kids in school and blah, blah, blah. Every coach has kids in school, and every coach rips their kids out of that current school and moves them to their new city where they make a lot more money or what's best for them. So with that being said, I'm looking at this. Okay. Ohio State's a great job. And if he leaves Ohio State, it's not because it's not a great job. It just means that if he's at a point in his life where things change or motivation changes.
Right.
So that's the thing to consider here is that I'm not anti-Ohio State. If he stays, it's a great thing. Yes. But if he leaves, it's a great thing for him. The Bears' job is the best job out there that could be opening up. And here's why. There's a lot of factors why the Bears' job is the best one. We know Justin Fields is legitimate now.
Yes.
Okay, he has shown more signs of being a good NFL quarterback than Trevor Lawrence has. And Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be bulletproof. So Justin Fields in Chicago with that bad offensive line is still performing at a high level, very similar to what we saw from Joe Burrow last year. The Bears have $45 million in cap space heading into next season. That number will go up. So they will have plenty of money to spend all on the offense because the defense right now is a top 10 defense. They have a top 10 defense in the NFL right now. They have 40 to 60 million that they're going to have in cap space next year to go get free agents to put around Justin Fields. You're going to bring in an offensive-minded head coach in Ryan Day that is going to build a scheme to get the best out of Justin the way he got the best out of him in Ohio State. And now guess what? Justin, who's doing this without weapons right now, is going to have weapons next year. And then, let's talk about that division, folks. Let's talk about that division. It's Aaron Rodgers last year in Green Bay. Now, I'm not saying he can't come back. There's a good chance Aaron Rodgers could come back.
I think he is coming back, by the way.
Well, we'll see about that. I mean, the thing is, that's because they're winning right now. But they're going to lose in the playoffs at some point. And that's not, there's 12 years between now and the last time he was in the Super Bowl to support my theory on that. But there's a good chance he's on the way out. Minnesota Vikings about to move on from Kirk Cousins and blow that thing up and probably move on from Zimmer. Vikings are about to rebuild. The Lions are the Lions. They're competitive, but they're the Lions. And again, Aaron Rodgers, you now have a Justin Fields to bring to an Aaron Rodgers fight, who, by the way, played well against the Packers the other night at times. You have a defense that can combat Aaron Rodgers. You just add more pieces to it. I think that this makes the most sense for Ryan Day. If he was going to go to the NFL, this is the opportunity to do it. Dynamic young quarterback in Justin Fields, a division that's winnable. You already have a top 10 defense. You have plenty of cap space, and you have an organization that's sick of losing. And I just think that that's the perfect storm right there. If Ryan Day was going to leave for the NFL, the Bears is actually the perfect job to do it, and he can have immediate success. Everyone's like, he should look at Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is not the same as Ryan Day.
Right.
If anything, the reason Urban Meyer was successful those last couple of years at Ohio State is because he adapted to Ryan Day's offensive play style. Because Urban Meyer's JT Barrett play style wasn't going to cut it, folks. It took opening up that offense for them to win that national championship that Ryan Day wasn't here for, I get. But they went away from that the next year. Remember, they were using Cardale Jones. They weren't even using Cardale the way they used him the previous year. They were using him in the RPO and everything else. It was like, that's not who Cardale is. But they continue to use him the same as they use JT. When Ryan Day came in, that's when you had your Haskins breakout year. That's when, you know what I mean? Everything changed for Urban Meyer when Ryan Day came in because of that offensive scheme. And then all of a sudden, all these great players started coming in because of Ryan Day, because of the wide receivers, quarterbacks, all that stuff, because of the offense. I'm saying Ryan Day, he's going to have success in the NFL. I mean, if Cliff Kingsbury could freaking have success in the NFL with a good quarterback, I know Ryan Day can. I'm not guaranteeing he's leaving Ohio State, but you are not allowed to guarantee me that he's staying at Ohio State because you have no freaking clue. And if Ryan Day was adamant that he was not leaving, he would have pulled a Mike Tomlin by now. And his silence is saying more than anything. So let's just be real. Doesn't mean he's definitely leaving, but I think he's weighing his options. And I think that's exactly what's going on. Recruiting day is tomorrow. If anything, the reason I think it's alarming that Ryan Day has not put this to rest, like put it to rest, that's alarming because tomorrow's a very delicate day.
Mm-hmm.
If any of those players sense that he is BSing them, they could be like, yeah, I don't trust the situation. I think
I'll wait till February.
So I think that's a delicate situation tomorrow. So if he really wanted to guarantee that those guys went there, he would have put this to bed, said, guys, don't worry about the media. I'm not going anywhere. I-O, I'm not going anywhere. And he hasn't. But his agent said, hey, we're not going as a package deal. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll see.
I'll be real quick. Raiders, dumpster fire with all that stuff that's going on with them off the field with John Gruden and obviously players and drinking and driving. Dumpster fire. Hands off for, and this isn't just Coach Day. This is whatever hot candidate. You know what I'm saying? If I was a hot candidate, that would be off my list. Jacksonville, dumpster fire because of the organization's lack of ability to spend. or wanting to spend all that money, I wouldn't touch that. You already know how I feel about the Texans. That's off the list. The Jets, way off the list. Seahawks off the list because I think what's going to ultimately happen, I think that Russell Wilson is going to end up with the New York Giants. So if I'm a guy, a head coach, potential head coach, it will be down to the Bears and Giants, and the Giants will only make my list if Russell Wilson showed up on that team. If he's traded to that team, that will be my number one option. If not, it will be the Bears. And doing that exercise, that's how I got to the Bears, because I said the Bears, like, oh man, the Bears, da, 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 da. But then you look at the other options, that's the best option, hands down.
Even if you knew Russell Wilson was guaranteed to be in Seattle, I don't think that makes that a better job than Chicago.
Because they got a terrible offensive line too, just like you got a bad one in Seattle.
And they don't have resources to get it done. So your money's in your quarterback. You have a second year of a rookie quarterback who is showing to be a star. You have a top 10 defense already, so you don't have to tinker with that much. You know, if this Bears offense provided just a smidge more to go with that defense, the Bears would be a playoff team.
Money gonna come off the books for them too, because they're probably not gonna bring Khalil Mack back next year.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll figure it out. Where are they at in the draft? I'll figure all that. 518-1410. I see Robert's on hold. Charlie, we'll get to you on the other side. You better bring better takes today, Charlie, than you did yesterday, or you're going to get the Shaw treatment.
Oh, man.
And you realize how bad you have to be to get the Shaw treatment? I mean, you realize how bad Shaw had to be to get the Shaw treatment. And Shaw's bad. I forgot to bring him up to Jason when he was on earlier. By the way. Be back in a moment. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Ryan Day, stop it, folks. He could leave.
Staying, bro.
If you're one of those that thinks he's staying, that's okay. But if you're one of those delusional folks that do this whole, I guarantee there's no way he will leave Ohio State. You sound as dumb as the Oklahoma fans that said that about Lincoln Riley. You sound as dumb as the Notre Dame fans that said that about Brian Kelly. There's no way.
No, the Oklahoma fans said he wasn't going to LSU. And they were right.
Well, they were guaranteed he wasn't going anywhere. They were guaranteed he wasn't leaving at all. So I'm just saying, like, don't be that delusional fan. I love Ohio State. I'm a big Buckeye fan. I love Buckeye fans. I just don't like the delusional Buckeye fans. And that's how I am with Browns fans, Bengals fans, which, by the way, I haven't really met too many rational Bengals fans. So there's rational Buckeye fans. There's rational Browns fans. I think all Bengals fans are just weird. All of them. They all live in this weird world. Charlie's the king of all of them. We're going to talk to him next, too, by the way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
Gather near and bring the cheer this holiday season. Dazzle and delight the love of your life with a gift from Hellsberg Diamonds. Don't miss great prices on stunning diamond studs, tennis bracelets, gemstone rings, and the year's must-have look, gold jewelry for stacking and layering. Another reason to go to Hellsberg? Get a free Microsoft Surface Laptop Go with a purchase of $1,699 or more. Visit Hellsberg.com or a store near you today. Limited time offer while supplies last. See online or in store for details.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with seasonal refreshments and holiday beers, and they're going fast, just in time for your favorite sporting events. Rob's Beer Barn also has you covered for your holiday plans. At Rob's, you'll find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need: craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel. For last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ribble Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the Beaver.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends this holiday season. Everyone loves to bowl. Plan your family holiday get-together at Polking Bowling Centers. Bowling offers an exciting family experience. Remember, Polking Bowling Centers are safe, sanitized, and socially distanced. Let the good times roll at Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, and Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive. It's a memorable time for everyone, so come out and share the fun of bowling.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Skyline gift cards make great last-minute gifts. Now through Christmas Eve, you'll get a free $5 gift certificate when you buy $30 in Skyline gift cards at participating Skyline restaurants. See store for details. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 55. Tonight will be mostly cloudy, a low near 42. And tomorrow will be cloudy and windy with a chance of showers, a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
With the new law, more people qualify for financial assistance at healthcare.gov. Real customers like Taylor.
You know, I wish people knew how easy it was to get health coverage. This new law has made it so affordable. I'm only paying $52 a month, but there are quality plans for even less.
New law, lower prices, more people qualify. Enroll by December 15th at healthcare.gov.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
What's all the buzz about nasal irrigation and navage? Here's the science. Airborne germs invade through your nose. When your nose gets clogged, it's less effective and germs multiply. Eventually, your immune system can get overwhelmed and you get sick. Navage pulls out the bad stuff so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier. At Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, Bed Bath, and Walmart. Or go to Navage.com for a free gift with purchase. Navage, Navage.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. So many parts. Where did they get all those shelves? eBay Motors, let's ride.
You need an accurate thermometer to check for fever, a potential sign of flu or COVID. Be vigilant and contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever. Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Exergen Temporal Scanners are available at Walmart and other fine retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com. That's EXERGEN.com. Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
Take home Frickers Holiday Feast. Frickin' yum, 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 yum. Our gift cards always please. Frickin' yum, 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 yum.
Take home 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $29.99, carry out only. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and you'll get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho, ho, ho! For fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Frickin' yum, yum.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Menards has the largest in-stock appliance selection to take home today. The 6-cycle Criterion dishwasher is ultra quiet and has a sleek stainless steel finish with top button controls that are out of sight. Plus, it has a 3rd rack that is perfect for bulky utensils. Just $499 after $50 mail-in rebate. See store for details. Price is good through December 24th. Plus, give the perfect gift with a Menards gift card.
More season's greetings to you all from Menards.
All right, a couple minutes remaining here. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street in Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. If you're buying or selling, give Brad Mays a call. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, 937-572-7425. We welcome you back. Look, at this point, I hate that we're almost out of time. Today's show flew by the way. Appreciate ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. We hang out with him every week. He's not going to drive to Dayton to help me move, but he did say he would send some alcohol.
Hey, good enough.
There you go. That is good enough. Man, my goodness. So, listen, at the end of the day, Ryan Day, if he leaves, he leaves. He leaves because he's a good coach. And it's hurting the egos of Buckeye fans because they're not used to coaches leaving on their own accord. Like Urban Meyer resigned, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? But coaches don't leave to take other jobs. It hurts the ego of Buckeye fans. And at the end of the day, I get it. But at the same time, don't be delusional to think that your program is so untouchable that a coach that there's nothing better out there in life. Yes, there is. You know that in Alabama, we think there's nothing better than Ohio State football. And we laugh at the fact that there's anything better. But you know what? People in Alabama, who that is the best program in all of college sports, no, not even close, they laugh at us because of how much we love man, they love that little Buckeye program so much, but they're not even us. They laugh at us. Everyone thinks that their program doesn't stink. This is an NBA example, but I was at a Pacer game last night, and there were Pacer fans sitting behind us, and they were just so serious talking Pacers. No, I think we could be good. I don't think we should trade LeVert. I think we should keep Sabonis. You hit on a couple draft picks, couple good free agent signings. I think we could be in the finals picture. And I wanted to laugh at them. I was like, dude, you guys are nerds. Seriously, what is wrong with you? I didn't think even Pacer fans, I didn't even think Pacer fans sat down and talked that way. That was uncomfortable for me. I was uncomfortable. Buckeye fans, you're uncomfortable sometimes. Oh, there's no way Ryan Day would leave. Well, there's no way. What makes you think that there's nothing else better out there? That's delusional on your part. Ryan Day used to be in the NFL. When you're in the NFL, it's because you want a chance to be a head coach. There wasn't a path for Ryan Day to be a head coach in the NFL last time, so he came to college to be an offensive coordinator to work his way up, which rightfully he did. Now he's the head coach at Ohio State. Super. In the NFL, just because he came to college didn't mean because he lost his passion for the NFL, Kev, right? It doesn't make any sense. We got a few minutes. Let's go to Charlie. Charlie, how are you, sir?
Hey, Kev, I wanted to audition as your co-host, man. Can I practice real quick?
Go for it.
Kev, I was watching the Warriors-Pacers game last night, and Steph Curry had so many turnovers, I thought he could open a bakery.
No, that's not what I said. I said he had so many turnovers, he could be the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, and you guys would say that turnovers are good. I'm just saying.
He is very heroic, much like Joe Burrow. You are right about that.
Yeah, one's really, really good at their job, and the other one's the quarterback of the Bengals. So
they're both equally amazing.
You are wow.
Hey, I do got. You were talking about that conspiracy theory about Steph wanting to break the record at Madison Square Garden.
Right? He should want to break it at Madison Square Garden, but it was kind of weird. I'm just saying.
Well, how about this? You guys both know who Elvis Presley is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where was his last concert? You don't know. You know why?
Why?
Because it wasn't at Madison Square Garden. It was in Indiana. and nobody cares about Indiana. That's why Steph Curry didn't want to break the record there. So, but you guys have a good day.
Break a record in New York. I'm just saying. I would stop to make a trip in Indiana, but I wouldn't try to break a record in Indiana.
Well, it's the crossroads of America because people drive through it. They don't stop.
When you have to,
that's their slogan.
It sucks to drive through it. Their roads are horrible.
Goodness.
I mean, I felt like I was firing a machine gun the whole way to Indianapolis.
There goes Reggie Miller coming on the show.
I love
Reggie
Miller and Cheryl Miller are the best things that ever came out of Indiana. What?
Larry Bird, what are you talking about?
Okay, I forgot about Larry Bird.
Indiana's the Alabama of the North.
Charlie, roll Tide, but roll Pacers.
I like your rope-a-dope approach by keeping me on hold for 2 hours. But just remember, I know you think you're
Shaw treatment.
Ali.
When you say dumb things like Shaw, you get the Shaw treatment.
Hey, I know you think you're Ali, but I'm Mike Tyson. I'm coming with that left hook, baby. I'll see you tomorrow.
What is wrong with him? Let's go to Robert. Robert, close us out today, man. How are you? Well, that's a good way to end the show. 518-1410. All right, folks, that wraps it up for us today. Kev Nash is off tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. You'll hear a familiar voice on the airwaves tomorrow. Years and years ago, before I was fortunate enough to take over the afternoon show, Mark Neal was the longtime afternoon show host here, and Mark Neal will return tomorrow to fill in for Kev and I.
Neal!
So Neal returns tomorrow. Mark Neal tomorrow, 3 to 6. He'll fill in. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll talk with the guys from Letterman Row. We're getting closer and closer to that Rose Bowl matchup with Utah. Can it be look, we saw Urban Meyer coach his final game as a Buckeye in the Rose Bowl. Could we see Ryan Day coach his final game as a Buckeye in the Rose Bowl? I think it's a good, there's a good shot. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. He says if Ryan Day goes to the NFL, the Buckeyes will need to promote Brian Hartline ASAP. Hey, I like Brian Hartline. I like that idea. If he doesn't get the head job, it has to be the OC at the very least. Hartline has seen football through all levels, and he is the main reason for OSU's wide receivers. He can recruit, and the boys seem to love that guy. Got to keep Hartline around. I agree. I said before years ago, I don't think Hartline's the next head coach right now. I said if Ryan Day stayed another 3 to 5 years, then I believe Hartline could be the next head coach at Ohio State. He is ascending that quickly. The popularity, he's one of the best recruiting assistant coaches out there, and it's no secret that you look at the wide receiver talent at Ohio State. He's been the guy spearheading all of that. But he's been able to get receivers to come to Ohio State because of who Ryan Day has been able to bring in at quarterback, and I think that they've been a great pair. But Hartline, former NFL player, he might leave with Ryan Day to go to the Bears. I'm just saying.
Wide open.
Folks, have a great night. We'll be back on Thursday. Mark Neal will be in for us tomorrow. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, and, of course, our guy, Brad Mays, with Home Experts Realty. If you're buying or selling, give Brad a call, 937-572-7425. Have a great night. Peace. Except for Shaw. Have a bad night.
Looking for the perfect holiday gift for someone on your list? Surprise the family with a membership to Walnut Grove Country Club. Walnut Grove has it all: a challenging golf course, leagues for men and women,